Imagine manifesting the life you want, faster, clearer, and without chasing anything. Imagine not needing to beg the universe, not needing to fake a smile, not needing to prove anything to anyone. Just becoming. Becoming the kind of person to whom success, peace, and purpose are drawn, not by force, but by identity. But let's be honest. How many times have you tried to manifest something only to feel stuck, frustrated, or confused? How many times have you said, "I want this," but deep down didn't believe it was already yours? The truth is, most people don't manifest slowly because they're doing something wrong. They manifest slowly because they're doing it from the wrong identity. If you say, "I want," more than you say, "I am," then you're chasing shadows. The Stoics knew this. They knew that manifestation is not magic, it's alignment. Not just about thinking different thoughts, but becoming a different version of yourself. One that already has what you used to beg for. In this video, you're not just going to learn tricks. You're going to discover how to shift your identity. You're going to learn 15 powerful Stoic I am techniques that will help you stop waiting for your dream life and start living it now. These aren't just quotes. These are mental rewires. These are tools that change how you walk, how you breathe, how you show up in the world. When you use them, manifestation doesn't feel like a task. It feels natural, effortless, obvious. But before we begin, I want you to commit to this moment. Pause for just 1 second and write in the comments. Starting now, I am becoming the person who already lives my dream. I am Stoic. This is not just a sentence, it's a signal, a switch, a message to your subconscious that you're done waiting. That from this point forward, your identity leads the way. And when identity leads, reality follows. Now take a deep breath, because after this, your life will never feel out of your control again. Let's begin. Number 1. I am the cause, not the effect. Stop waiting for something to happen. Stop looking around, hoping the universe finally gives you a sign. You are the sign. You are the spark. You are not here to react to life. You are here to create it. And until you accept that truth, manifestation will always feel slow, distant, frustrating. You are not the result of the world around you. You are the reason it starts moving. That's the Stoic way. The Stoic doesn't wait for the world to tell them who they are. They decide. They lead. They become the kind of person who doesn't chase results because they've already become the root of those results. Think of it like this. A tree does not beg for fruit. It focuses on being deeply rooted, nourished, and steady, and then the fruit comes naturally. Most people are out here shaking branches, looking for apples, while the Stoic is down at the soil, watering their roots. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. That's the shift you need if you want to manifest faster. You need to stop asking, "When will it happen for me?" and start declaring, "It's already happening because I've become the kind of person it happens to." Feel the difference in that. One is a question filled with waiting. The other is a declaration filled with ownership. Everything you want is already drawn to a certain type of person. Peace finds the peaceful. Wealth finds the disciplined. Love finds the whole. You don't need to beg for these things. You need to become the version of yourself that they are already looking for. That's what the Stoic understands. That's how manifestation works, not by screaming out into the world, but by whispering deeply into your identity. So here's your challenge. Stop focusing on the effect. Focus on the cause. Focus on who you're becoming, not what you're getting. Are you becoming stronger, more focused, more peaceful, more principled? If the answer is yes, then the things you want are already on their way to you. If the answer is no, then stop waiting. Go inward. Get to work on the root. This is not about perfection. It's about alignment. You don't need to be flawless. You need to be intentional. Ask yourself each day, what would the person who already has my dream life do right now? Then do that. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. That's the cause. That's how energy moves faster. Not by hoping, not by wishing, but by becoming. Your actions today are either pushing your manifestation further away or pulling it closer. Choose the ones that pull it close. Speak like the person it already happens to. Think like the person it already happens to. Act like the person it already happens to. Say it out loud. I am the cause. I am the root. I am the reason my life is transforming. Say it until your body believes it, until your choices align with it, until your energy no longer asks for things, it attracts them. Remember this every morning. You are not the effect, you are the cause. And from this day forward, everything changes. Number 2, identity over outcome. The daily I am mirror ritual. Look in the mirror, not to fix your hair, not to judge your flaws, but to face the most important force in your life, your identity. The world doesn't respond to your goals, it responds to your identity. And the Stoic understands, if you want to change your life, you don't start with the outcome. You start with who you are. Every morning, before the noise of the world takes over, go to the mirror. Not to check your appearance, but to shape your existence. This isn't a performance. This is a practice. You're not here to hope things get better. You're here to become better. And becoming begins with declaring. Look into your own eyes. Speak 5 I am statements out loud. But make sure they're tied to your character, not your cravings. Not I am rich, not I am famous. No, that's the surface. Go deeper. Say what defines the person you're becoming. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am calm in chaos. I am humble. I am unstoppable when I align with virtue. Don't just repeat them, embody them. Repetition is not the magic, embodiment is. It's not about saying it louder or longer, it's about believing it deeper, feeling it in your posture, in your breath, in the silence after the words are spoken. This simple ritual may look like nothing, but it is everything. Because your mirror doesn't just reflect your face, it reflects your future. And every time you speak into it, you are sending instructions to your mind about who you are becoming. The brain doesn't resist identity, it obeys it. If you declare it with conviction, your behavior starts to match it, automatically, subconsciously. People wake up chasing things. The Stoic wakes up becoming things. There's a difference. One is desperate, the other is powerful. You don't have to ask for strength, you become strength. You don't have to beg for peace, you declare peace. And once you do that enough times, something strange begins to happen. The world starts rearranging itself to match your declaration. You'll notice different choices, different habits, different people around you. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. You are no longer reacting to life from the outside in. You're shaping life from the inside out. That's what this ritual does. It aligns your inner compass. It makes your identity louder than your doubts. Try it tomorrow morning, before checking your phone. Before you even speak to anyone else, go to the mirror, look yourself dead in the eye, and say who you are, not who you used to be. Say it until the sound of it becomes natural, until the person you're describing doesn't feel like a stranger. Say it until that person is the only version of you that feels real. The world doesn't serve your goals, it serves your identity. And your identity is not something you find, it's something you declare, something you build, something you become. Say it with me now. I am not waiting to become who I am. I choose who I am right now. That mirror is not glass. It's a portal. Step through it. Number 3. Unshakable in the storm. I am the stillness. When the storm hits, most people run. They panic, they scream, they crumble. The noise outside becomes the noise inside, but not the Stoic. The Stoic stands still, not because the world is calm, but because they are. Chaos is inevitable. Frustrations will come. People will disappoint. Life will shift without warning. But the one thing you control, the only thing that truly belongs to you, is your state. And the most powerful state is stillness. Say it now. I am still, not I will try to be calm, or I hope I don't lose it. That kind of language gives power away. The Stoic doesn't try. The Stoic is. Even in the middle of a storm, even with noise all around, their center stays untouched. It doesn't happen by accident. It's trained. It's built moment by moment. You don't wait for a crisis to practice this. You practice it in the small things, when someone cuts you off in traffic, when your phone dies in the middle of a task, when the line is long, or the meeting is late, or the plan changes last minute. In those tiny moments, whisper to yourself, I am still. Not as a defense, but as a declaration. Not to numb your emotion, but to claim your identity. You are not the noise. You are the space around it, the calm in it, the clarity beyond it. And something strange begins to happen when you do this. Life starts to respond differently. Solutions appear faster. People calm down around you. The moment softens. Why? Because stillness is magnetic. Stillness clears fog. Stillness attracts answers that chaos repels. This isn't spiritual fluff. It's physics. Chaos begets more chaos. But stillness disrupts the cycle. And when you make stillness your identity, you stop reacting and start directing. Every time you face frustration and choose stillness, you're not just calming down, you're sculpting a new reality, a world where problems shrink, where time slows down, where the right next step becomes obvious. Think about the greatest warriors, leaders, teachers. Were they the loudest, the quickest to react? No, they were the calmest in crisis, the most rooted in chaos. That's not luck, that's identity. That's what I am still means. And the beauty of it? You can practice any time. Right now, in this very moment, you can pause, take one breath, and say it silently. I am still. Feel how your body listens, how your shoulders drop, how your thoughts slow down. This is the true superpower. Not control over the world, but control over your response to it. And when your identity is rooted in stillness, manifestation speeds up. Why? Because you're no longer chasing things from a place of fear. You're drawing them in from a place of peace. So the next time life spins, don't spin with it. Plant your feet, drop your shoulders, breathe through the noise, and remember, I am not the storm. I am the stillness the storm cannot touch. That's not just a mindset, it's your new identity. Number 4, the reverse echo. Speak the identity others expect of you, then shatter it. People are always handing you labels, sometimes quietly, sometimes with a smile, sometimes pretending it's a compliment. You're just shy. You've always been anxious. You're not very consistent. And without even realizing it, You carry their words like invisible weights. You wear their version of you like it's your own skin. But let me ask you, who gave them the right to define your identity? The Stoic doesn't accept labels just because they're familiar. The Stoic listens, then decides. And if a label doesn't serve your highest self, it must be broken. That's what we call the reverse echo. Here's how it works. First, become aware of the words people use about you. Not the ones you agree with, the ones that sting a little. The ones you've heard so many times, you've started to believe them. You're always so emotional. You're not a leader. You're the lazy one. Catch the echo. Now speak it out loud, not to accept it, but to expose it. Say it clearly, directly. Then destroy it. Say the opposite with strength. I've been called anxious, but I am serenity in human form. They say I don't finish things, but I am the embodiment of steady momentum. They see hesitation, but I am silent confidence. Do you feel the power in that? That's not just motivation, it's reprogramming. Because here's the truth. The universe doesn't respond to your reputation. It responds to your identity. And identity is not what others say about you. It's what you say when nobody's listening. When you close your eyes, when you breathe into your own being, that's where the real you lives. But if you don't challenge the labels, you'll live inside a script you didn't write, a character you didn't choose. And nothing slows down manifestation like living someone else's identity. You can't attract abundance from a place of lack. You can't attract peace from a label of panic. You have to become before you receive. So start doing this daily. Make it a habit. In your journal, in your walk, in front of your mirror. Speak the false identity, then shatter it with truth. They see a quitter. I am persistence in motion. They see weakness. I am grounded strength. They remember my past. I am my present becoming. You owe no one an explanation. You don't have to prove anything. But you do have to protect your identity, because your identity is your signal. And if that signal is jammed by other people's noise, your manifestation will be blocked. So tune it, strengthen it, own it. The next time someone says, "That's just who you are," smile, then silently whisper, "That's who I was when I didn't know who I am." Because now you know. You are not their echo. You are your own frequency. And that frequency is how the universe finds you. Number 5. Emotional transmutation. I am the alchemist. Emotions are not your enemy. They are not interruptions. They are not weaknesses to hide. Emotions are energy, and energy is power. But here's the secret. Power without direction becomes destruction. The Stoic doesn't run from emotion. The Stoic recycles it, transforms it, turns it into something greater. That's the work of the alchemist, and the Stoic is the alchemist of the inner world. You're angry? Good. That's fuel. You're anxious? Perfect. That's energy too. You're frustrated, overwhelmed, irritated, restless? All of it is usable. All of it can be transmuted into action if you stop trying to push it away and start learning how to redirect it. Most people either explode or suppress. The Stoic does neither. The Stoic says, "I am the transformer of emotions into motion." That's the shift. Not, "I'll calm down," not, "I need to feel better," but, "This energy will become something useful." Try it the next time your emotions rise. Don't scroll, don't distract, don't bury it. Sit with it, breathe into it. Ask it, "What can I turn you into?" If it's anger, Can it become a workout, a boundary, a burst of focused work? If it's sadness, can it become reflection? Can it deepen your compassion? Can it remind you to care more clearly for yourself? Now grab a journal, write down the emotion, then ask, what action does this want to become? Write it like a formula. My irritation becomes my morning discipline. My restlessness becomes a 10-minute walk. My jealousy becomes a reminder to double down on my purpose. This is not wishful thinking. This is Stoic engineering. You are not managing emotion. You are sculpting with it. Because here's what no one tells you. Your emotions are trying to move. That's why it's called emotion. It's energy in motion. But if you block it, it builds up and explodes later. If you deny it, it festers and weakens you. But if you harness it, if you shape it, you create momentum. You create magic. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait to feel better. You build better from what you feel. Manifestation doesn't require you to be emotionally perfect. It requires you to be emotionally intentional. And that intention creates frequency. High-frequency living isn't about smiling all day. It's about using every emotion, every day, to fuel identity, purpose, and direction. So say it when the pressure rises. I am the alchemist. Let that be your mantra, your reminder, your ignition. You are not your feelings. You are the one shaping what your feelings become. From this moment on, frustration becomes focus. Sadness becomes stillness. Fear becomes fire. And you become the alchemist. Number 6. The already happened walk. I am now who I used to wish to become. Don't wait for the manifestation to arrive. Walk like it's already here. Move like it's already done. Act like the version of you who no longer hopes, but lives. That's the essence of the already happened walk. It's not just a stroll, it's a statement, a signal, a daily ritual of identity over evidence. Because here's what most people don't understand. The body believes before the mind does. The way you walk, breathe, and carry yourself sends instructions to your subconscious. If you move like you're still waiting, the universe waits too. But when you walk like it's done, like it already happened, something shifts. Life starts rushing to match your signal. So here's the challenge. Go outside. Doesn't matter where. Just walk. But this time, you're not walking as yourself. You're walking as the person who already has what you once begged for. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Breathe through your nose, slow and full. Let your steps be steady, not rushed. No need to hustle. No need to prove. You are not seeking. You are being. In your mind, whisper it to yourself. I am now who I used to wish to become. Say it over and over. Let it sink into your spine, your breath, your presence. Feel what changes in your posture when you believe it's already yours. That's not delusion. That's alignment. That's identity taking the lead. The Stoic doesn't wait for evidence to move differently. The Stoic moves first. Belief isn't something that happens after results. Belief is the soil from which results grow. And when your walk matches your identity, the external world begins to bend toward it. Not because you begged, but because you became. This is not acting. This is not pretending. This is embodying the truth before the proof. This is walking like someone who is no longer in a race against time, but in sync with it. And you'll start to notice small things change. People speak to you differently. You respond more calmly. Opportunities feel easier. Why? Because you stopped waiting. You stopped chasing. You started walking like it's done, and that energy is magnetic. So make this walk a habit, every day if you can. Let it become a moving meditation, a reminder that your life is not waiting for permission, it's waiting for alignment. Don't walk like the person who's still doubting. Walk like the person who already received. Let that version of you take the lead, and life will have no choice but to follow. Say it again, louder this time in your mind as your feet hit the ground. I am now who I used to wish to become. And with every step, you close the gap between who you were and who you already are. Number 7. Self-deprivation reset. I am enough without. What happens when you subtract? When there's no noise, no attention, no dopamine hit from likes, no new thing to buy, no external stimulus to fill the space. Do you still feel full? That's the test. That's the reset. That's where the Stoic thrives. In a world constantly screaming more, 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 the Stoic whispers something different. Less, and I am still whole. And in that whisper lies real power. The power of non-attachment. The power of enoughness. The kind of energy the universe responds to, not with delay, but with urgency. Once a week, step away. Step out of the noise. Choose a fast, not just from food, but from desire itself. Skip the scrolling. Close the online store tabs. Leave your phone on the counter. Don't fill the silence. Don't chase stimulation. Just be. Breathe. Exist without reaching. And in that stillness, whisper to yourself, I am enough, even when I subtract. Say it again, slower. I am enough, even when I subtract. Because here's the secret. When you stop needing, you start attracting. When you release the grasp, the universe responds not with absence, but with abundance. Not because you forced it, but because you no longer demanded it. That is magnetic. That is sacred. You see, most people think detachment is loss. It's not. Detachment is proof. Proof that your peace is not for sale. Proof that your worth is not linked to your wants. When you detach, you don't lose power. You reclaim it. Try it. Pick a day, just one day a week. No social media, no impulse shopping, no unnecessary noise, no external chasing. Use that day to remind yourself of who you are without all the extra. Let silence return you to center. Let stillness recalibrate your soul. Journal what you feel. Notice the cravings. Notice the discomfort. But also notice the space, the clarity, the quiet dignity that returns when you stop outsourcing your value. This is not about punishment. This is not deprivation in the modern sense. This is a spiritual flush, a Stoic cleanse, a reminder that you were whole long before the world taught you to chase. And when you do this often enough, something incredible happens. You begin to feel different, lighter, freer, and paradoxically more full, because your worth is no longer conditional. It's not tied to what you consume. It's rooted in who you are. That kind of energy, the energy of enoughness, moves mountains. It attracts opportunities that desperation repels. It draws in people, moments, clarity, peace, all because you chose to subtract. Say it one more time before the day ends. I am enough without, and that is why everything comes to me with ease. That's not minimalism. That's manifestation through identity. And that is what makes the Stoic untouchable. Number 8. The tranquility trigger. I am tranquility. The day moves fast. Things pull at you. notifications, emails, noise, deadlines, distractions. The pace of the world never slows down. But the Stoic does, because the Stoic understands. Manifestation doesn't come from more chaos. It comes from calm. It doesn't come from chasing harder. It comes from becoming quieter. So here's your new practice. Choose one moment every single day, maybe at noon, maybe mid-afternoon, maybe right before bed. Doesn't matter when. What matters is that you stop, just for 60 seconds, one single minute, long enough to shift everything. And in that moment, you say 3 words to yourself. I am tranquility. Not I hope I calm down. Not I need a break. No. You become the break. You become the stillness. You become the center. Let the noise rage on around you. This is not about the world changing. This is about you anchoring. Close your eyes. Drop your shoulders. Feel your feet. Breathe deeply. Slow in, slow out. And say it in your mind with complete ownership. I am tranquility. That small, quiet pause rewires everything. Why? Because your nervous system listens to patterns. If all it knows is rush, pressure, tension, and stress, that becomes your identity. But when you interrupt the pattern, when you pause daily and replace it with presence, you teach your body a new rhythm, a new language, and over time, your default state begins to shift. You stop reacting. You start responding. And that makes all the difference. Because manifestation can't land in a storm. It doesn't arrive when the mind is flinching, frantic, or on edge. It arrives when space opens, when stillness makes room for clarity. And that clarity comes from this, a daily, intentional, identity-rooted pause. So set your alarm if you have to. Create the ritual. When it goes off, don't delay it. Don't say you're too busy. You're never too busy to become the person who no longer burns out trying to control everything. You are never too busy to remember yourself. And over time, something powerful happens. You'll notice that your reactions soften. Your thoughts slow down. Your voice becomes clearer. Decisions come easier. And results, real results, start appearing not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped resisting them. That's what it means to be the tranquility trigger. You don't wait for peace to show up. You bring it, every day, for 60 seconds. And that 1 minute of identity becomes a ripple that calms everything else. Say it now. Whisper it. Breathe it in. I am tranquility. Let it become your anchor, your pause, your proof. Not that life got easier, but that you got deeper, stronger, quieter. And in that quiet, everything begins to arrive. Number 9. The silent I am in conversations. I am power, not performance. Every time you speak with someone, there's more happening than words. Underneath the laughter, the nods, the small talk, your identity is either shrinking or expanding. Most people walk into conversations hoping to be seen, liked, accepted. They perform, they try to impress, they chase approval. But the Stoic enters differently, quietly, calmly, rooted. Because the Stoic knows that true presence doesn't come from saying the right thing. It comes from being the right thing, not in their mouth, but in their mind. Here's how it works. The next time you're in a conversation, any conversation, say nothing out loud. Just breathe and silently repeat to yourself, I am confident. I am calm. I am generous. I am a listener. It's not about proving those things, it's about inhabiting them. Because the unconscious listens, your nervous system listens, Your body posture listens. And when you whisper these quiet declarations inside your mind, your energy shifts. You stop performing. You stop rushing to be liked. You become steady, grounded, present. People will feel it, even if they don't know what changed. They'll lean in a little closer. They'll trust you a little more. Why? Because your presence speaks before your mouth does. That's what real identity does. It radiates. This isn't a trick. This is training. You're teaching your inner world how to hold itself with dignity, clarity, and quiet strength, even while the outer world talks on. Try it in your next meeting. Try it on a phone call. Try it during conflict. Instead of arguing, anchoring. Instead of reacting, remembering. I am clarity. I am not here to impress. I am here to express. Over time, this becomes your default setting. No more shrinking in rooms. No more pretending. No more needing the spotlight to feel real. You are no longer entering interactions from insecurity. You're entering from identity. And that changes everything. People start to respect your calm. They feel safe in your presence, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. Because when everyone else is talking to be heard, you're rooted in being known, not by them, but by yourself. And that self-recognition, that is what bends reality in your favor. So, the next time you find yourself in the middle of a conversation, don't focus on what you're going to say next. Focus on what you're being right now. I am confidence. I am peace. I am enough, even in silence. Let the silent I am guide your voice. Let it guide your breath. Let it anchor you in the middle of the noise. Because when you speak from identity, you don't need volume. Presence speaks for you. Number 10. The pre-sleep identity drop. I am presence. I am becoming. I am already. Before sleep takes you, there is a doorway, a quiet, golden moment between consciousness and surrender, and most people rush past it. They carry their thoughts, their titles, their to-do lists, their worries into the night like heavy bags. They lay down in body, but remain standing in stress. And then they wonder why rest feels empty, and why nothing changes. But the Stoic does something different. The Stoic drops everything, every night, on purpose. Before you close your eyes tonight, don't just crawl under the covers. Drop your name. You're not John or Sarah or Michael in this space. Drop your job. You're not a student, not a manager, not a parent. Drop your past, your mistakes, your regrets, your stories, and most of all, drop your fear. Let go of the identity you've been carrying all day. This isn't escape. This is expansion. Now, breathe, slowly, quietly, and say to yourself, not out loud, but deep in the center of your being, I am presence. I am becoming. I am already. Feel the power of that. No chasing, no proving, no grasping, just truth. Pure, grounded, eternal truth. This is the pre-sleep identity drop, the most sacred reset you'll ever have. Because at night, the subconscious opens, and while the world sleeps, your inner world prepares. But it only prepares according to the final instruction you give it. If you fall asleep stressed, it repeats stress. If you fall asleep doubting, it deepens doubt. But if you fall asleep becoming, your identity continues growing while your body rests. You don't need affirmations written on a wall. You need one moment of real stillness, one honest sentence before you drift away. One identity that is no longer defined by the outside world. Not, I will be better tomorrow. Not, I hope things change. But, I am already changing. I am already becoming. I am already whole. Try this tonight. Lay still, eyes closed, and one by one, drop everything. Your name, your role, your schedule, your guilt, your tension, your timeline. Drop it all until there's nothing left but the real you, the silent, powerful, unshaken core. That's where manifestation begins, not in the noise of the day, but in the silence of the soul. Not in the pushing, but in the surrender. And when you give the subconscious this identity, it begins to work while you sleep. It starts to rearrange things, to attract things, to clear paths you don't even see. You wake up not chasing, but aligned, and the world will feel just a little softer, a little more open, because you slept not as a name, but as a presence. So tonight, and every night after, remember this. I am presence. I am becoming. I am already. Then let go, and let the universe do what it does best when you finally stop interfering. Work quietly in your favor. Number 11. Crisis mantra. I am the moment, not the mayhem. Life will break your plans. That's not a warning, it's a promise. Things will go wrong. The job will fall through. The call will never come. People will walk away. The ground will shake beneath you. That's the nature of this existence. Chaos is part of the contract. But here's the difference. Some people become the chaos, and others become the calm inside it. The Stoic chooses the second path, not by pretending everything's fine, but by remembering who they are when nothing is fine at all. When your world starts to unravel and panic rises in your chest and everything feels like it's spinning, pause, just for a breath, and say this to yourself, slowly, firmly, with full ownership. I am not what is happening. I am who is witnessing it. Let that sink in. You are not the breakup. You are not the mistake. You are not the layoff, the rejection, the illness, the news. You are the witness behind the storm, the presence inside the hurricane that does not move. And when you remember that, something powerful happens. Your identity no longer collapses with your circumstances. This is your crisis mantra, your mental anchor, your spiritual armor, and it changes everything. Because when others scream, the Stoic breathes. When others curse the sky, the Stoic grounds themselves in it. When others spiral, the Stoic roots deeper. Not to deny the pain, but to remain larger than it. To become a container for it, not a victim of it. Try it during small things first. Miss a deadline, get unexpected bad news, feel that surge of fear or frustration. Don't react. Repeat. I am not what is happening. I am who is witnessing it. Say it until the volume of the moment drops, until you're no longer drowning in emotion but standing above it. This isn't cold detachment. It's sacred clarity. It's the recognition that you are not a puppet of events. You are the stillness underneath. And that stillness, that's where manifestation thrives, because you manifest from energy. And when your energy stays composed, when your identity remains whole in chaos, the universe responds faster, clearer, and with more precision. You stop sending out mixed signals. You stop attracting from panic. You begin to draw in from presence. It's no longer, I need this to stop so I can feel okay. It's, I am okay, even while this continues. And that kind of peace, that kind of presence, that's the rarest frequency on Earth, and the most powerful. So the next time the world shakes, don't shake with it. Ground yourself in this. I am the moment, not the mayhem. Let others become the chaos, you become the clarity, and from that place, the future comes quietly to meet you. Number 12. Desire compression technique. I am becoming, not begging. Everyone has desires, hopes, dreams. You want success, you want freedom, you want love. But here's the hidden truth no one tells you. The way most people express desire actually pushes it away. Because the language of wanting is the language of lack, and the Stoic refuses to beg. The Stoic compresses desire, not to shrink the dream, but to strengthen the identity. Here's how it works. Step 1. Write it down. The biggest one, the dream that keeps whispering in your ear. Don't filter it, just name it. Maybe it's, I want to be wealthy. Maybe it's, I want peace. Maybe it's, I want to be respected. Whatever it is, get it on paper. Step 2. Now crush it into its essence. Strip away the craving. Strip away the waiting. Ask, what kind of person naturally receives this? What values, traits, and actions create that outcome as a byproduct, not a pursuit? I want to be wealthy becomes, I am a creator of abundance through service and discipline. I want to be loved becomes, I am love in motion. I give what I wish to receive. I want to be confident becomes, I am the embodiment of clarity and courage. Do you feel the shift? The desperation disappears. The identity rises. This is not wordplay. It's reality shaping. Because when you speak from longing, you act from waiting. But when you speak from becoming, you act from alignment. And actions born from alignment close the gap between now and the goal. Write that new statement down. Say it every morning, not as a chant, not as a hope, but as a truth in motion. Your job is not to chase the desire. Your job is to become the person who already has no need to chase it. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are while wanting it. That's why this technique is powerful. It upgrades your signal. It removes friction. It clarifies direction. Because now your focus is not, will it happen? Your focus is, how can I live as this identity today? And the funny thing? Once you shift into identity, the desire either arrives naturally or it no longer controls you. Either way, you win. Either way, you are free. So go back to your journal. Find every desire you've written in the language of wanting and rewrite it in the language of being. Compress the wish, condense the craving, and breathe life into the new declaration. I am already becoming what I once believed I lacked. Desire is not your enemy, but how you frame it determines whether it liberates you or leaves you in longing. The Stoic doesn't long, the Stoic becomes, and that's what turns time into momentum and dreams into reality. Number 13. The posture of receiving. I am worthy of good arriving without force. There's a big difference between asking and aligning, between begging and becoming. Most people don't realize it, but their energy, even while manifesting, is full of tension, desperation, force, like they're trying to wrestle blessings out of the universe's hands. But the Stoic doesn't wrestle. The Stoic receives. Not passively, not lazily, but openly, with presence, with dignity, with inner clarity. This is where the posture of receiving begins, not with a wish list, but with alignment. Try this. Sit in silence. Back straight, not stiff, just present. Let your shoulders fall. Unclench your jaw. Rest your hands gently on your knees, palms up. You're not here to demand anything. You're here to declare your readiness. Now, say it in your mind, slowly and with full belief. I am worthy of good arriving without force. Not, I hope it comes. Not, I'll believe it when I see it. Just, I am open. I am ready. I am aligned. This posture, physical and energetic, isn't about doing. It's about being. And being is what the universe listens to. Most people try to prove they deserve the life they want. The Stoic doesn't prove. The Stoic aligns. There's no strain, no grasping, no emotional negotiations, just stillness and surrender to what is already in motion. Because here's the truth. The moment you stop forcing is the moment things begin to flow. But only if your identity is clear. Only if you're not begging, but embodying. This simple practice is your daily reset. A reminder that your job is not to drag outcomes into existence. It's to open the door and let them in. You don't knock. You become the house. And the things you want, they walk right in. So sit like the person who knows their worth. Like the person who doesn't chase, but magnetizes. Like the person who trusts that quiet confidence draws more than loud effort ever will. This is energetic compliance. You're telling the universe, I am in position. You may begin. And from this position, everything shifts. Try it once a day, just a few minutes. Let it be your grounding point. Let it replace the anxious reaching. Let it train your nervous system to relax into abundance rather than fear. And remember this, you don't need to script the perfect manifestation plan. You don't need to prove your worth by overworking. You don't need to visualize every detail. You just need to sit, breathe, and believe. I am worthy of good arriving without force. That's not hope. That's mastery. That's not weakness. That's power. Because the Stoic doesn't grovel before life. The Stoic meets life as an equal. Number 14. I am as a response, not a request. I am full stop. Listen closely to how people speak about themselves. You'll hear it all the time. I'm trying to be more focused. I'm working on being disciplined. I'm hoping to become confident. And while those words sound positive, they leak weakness. They signal doubt. They're requests wrapped in self-doubt. They come from a place of lack, not from ownership. But the Stoic speaks differently. The Stoic doesn't ask for an identity. They declare it. Not with arrogance, not with delusion, but with clarity. They say, I am confident. I am focused. I am discipline in motion. I am. Full stop. Because that's the secret. Your identity is not a future achievement. It's a present alignment. The moment you add trying, hoping, or working on, you've already placed distance between who you are and who you want to be. And your subconscious hears it loud and clear, I'm not there yet. But when you say it straight, clean, clear, unapologetic, something inside clicks. Your nervous system listens, your body adjusts, your presence sharpens, because your words are not just statements, they're instructions. This shift is subtle, but it rewires everything. You're no longer giving your power away to some future version of yourself. You're claiming that version now. And when you live like it's true, your environment starts catching up. People respond differently. Doors open. Confidence walks into rooms ahead of you. Why? Because you're not asking life for permission. You're responding to life from identity. It's the difference between saying, I'm trying to be calm, and saying, I am calm. One puts you in pursuit, the other puts you in power. And let's be clear, this isn't lying to yourself. It's choosing yourself. It's saying, "This is who I've decided to be, and from here on, my actions will match that decision." So stop adding disclaimers to your power. Stop softening your strength with apologies. Drop the maybe. Drop the someday. Speak clean. Speak direct. Speak as the person who already exists inside of you. Say it now, wherever you are. I am focused. I am disciplined. I am worthy. I am becoming more of who I already am. Make this your new habit. Anytime someone asks, "How's it going with your confidence?" don't say, "I'm working on it." Say, "I am confident." Let the words lead your energy. Let the energy shape your actions. Let the actions build the results. That's how you move the world. Because here's the truth the Stoic lives by. The world will treat you exactly how you treat your own essence. So treat it with clarity. Treat it with certainty. Treat it with no hesitation. I am. Full stop. No requests. Just responses. Just reality. Just presence. Number 15. Legacy visualization. I am the echo. Most people live trying to leave a mark, chasing things, trophies, attention, achievements. They want to be remembered for what they did. But the Stoic plays a deeper game. The Stoic asks, who will I be remembered as? Not what did I do, but what was I? Not the resume, the reverberation, not the title, the tone they carried into every room. That's legacy. That's the echo. And it's not built at the end of your life. It's built now, in the smallest moments of your becoming. Sit for a minute and ask yourself, if I disappeared tomorrow, what would echo behind me? Would it be stress, chaos, hustle, noise, or would it be stillness, strength, presence, peace? Close your eyes and visualize it. Not your funeral, not the event, just the feeling people remember when they think of you. Would they say, they were calm in the fire? They were steady when the world shook. They didn't chase, they radiated. They were discipline in motion. They were compassion under pressure. They were light in heavy times. That's identity. That's the echo the Stoic aims to become. And here's the truth. When you start living from that future memory, when you walk as that echo now, your current reality begins to shift. People treat you differently. Your habits align with your purpose. Your actions simplify. Because you're no longer chasing identity, you are it. Legacy visualization isn't about impressing anyone. It's not about pretending to be someone noble. It's about shrinking the gap between your inner values and your daily behavior until they are one. From now on, ask yourself each morning, what echo am I leaving today? Then live accordingly. Speak like the person you want remembered. Walk like the presence you want felt long after you've gone. Act like your energy leaves a trail behind you. When you do this consistently, you stop reacting to life. You start resonating through it. And manifestation begins to bend around that frequency, not because you're forcing it, but because the world naturally arranges itself around what is clear, consistent, and eternal. The Stoic doesn't rush legacy. They become it, in silence, in discipline, in alignment. Say it with conviction. I am the echo of peace, the echo of discipline, the echo of presence that keeps moving long after my footsteps stop. Because true power doesn't shout, it lingers. And now, so will you. You don't manifest by begging. You don't manifest by hoping. You manifest by becoming. Every single I am you speak, whether in silence, in stillness, or in fire, is a seed. And today, you've been given 15 tools, 15 identities, 15 shifts that move you from waiting to receiving, from chasing to attracting, from force to flow. You are the cause, not the effect. You are not what is happening. You are the one witnessing it. You are not trying. You are. Full stop. You've learned how to walk like it's already done, how to subtract and still feel whole, how to shatter the labels that others placed on you, how to sit in the posture of receiving without a single word spoken. This is not about tricks. It's about training your identity to lead the way and watching your reality scramble to catch up. So here's your final I am for today. I am the kind of person who no longer waits for change, because I am the change. If that hits something deep, drop a comment below and write, I am ready, I am aligned, I am stoic. Say it not for the algorithm, but for your identity. Let it echo through your day. And if this message spoke to you, subscribe now. Because we're not done becoming, we're just getting started. Imagine what it would be like to truly master the art of controlling your mind, a timeless pursuit rooted in the ancient wisdom of Stoic philosophy. This school of thought, which flourished in ancient Greece and Rome, teaches that when we learn to govern our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, we unlock a profound reservoir of serenity and inner virtue that is not dependent on the ever-changing circumstances of life. In this video, we'll explore the core Stoic principles that guide us toward this inner mastery, helping us live a life that is more balanced, meaningful, and fulfilling. By understanding and applying these teachings, it becomes possible to attain a state of serenity that enables us to navigate the highs and lows of life with both grace and wisdom. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I kindly invite you to subscribe and like the video so I can continue sharing content like this in the future. The first Stoic principle revolves around the pursuit of inner peace that stands independent of our external circumstances. The Stoics believed that true happiness and tranquility should never be reliant on the outside world. Instead, they focused on discovering a deep, unshakable inner peace that persists regardless of what is happening around them. This outlook encourages us to remain composed and virtuous, no matter the chaos or instability that may surround us. A central element of this quest for peace is accepting the impermanence of all things. The Stoics recognized that everything in life is temporary. To cling to people, objects, or situations that are inherently fleeting only invites suffering. It is by embracing the impermanent nature of life that they found a lasting peace, one that does not waver with the inevitable changes life brings. Another vital aspect of tranquility is equanimity in the face of adversity. One of the most admirable traits of Stoic philosophy is the ability to meet life's challenges with calm and balance. To the Stoics, hardships were not merely obstacles, but valuable opportunities for growth. These moments allowed them to develop resilience and sharpen their mental strength, turning difficulty into a path for deeper transformation. Achieving inner peace also requires detachment from disturbing emotions. Emotions such as anger, fear, and despair can easily cloud our judgment and control our behavior. The Stoics didn't advocate for suppressing emotions, but rather for acknowledging them without letting them dictate our choices. By doing so, they taught that we could act with clarity and integrity, even in emotional storms. At the heart of Stoic teaching is the idea that true tranquility comes from living in harmony with virtue. When we choose to act with wisdom, courage, justice and temperance, we nurture a clear conscience. This alignment with virtue protects us from being tormented by guilt, regret or remorse, and it builds a life rooted in moral strength. Another key Stoic insight is the importance of contentment with sufficiency. The Stoics cautioned against the endless pursuit of wealth, power or pleasure, which often leads to dissatisfaction. Instead, they promoted the idea of finding joy in having enough. This mindset encourages us to avoid excessive desires and attachments to material things, leading to a simpler, more peaceful life. Serenity in the Stoic view is not just a temporary feeling, but an ideal to strive for over a lifetime. It is not something that is achieved overnight, but rather cultivated gradually through self-awareness, self-discipline, and the steady application of Stoic principles. This long-term pursuit nurtures a quiet strength within us that grows with practice and patience. In seeking tranquility, the Stoics also pursued a deeper kind of freedom. Freedom from the grip of our own emotions, cravings, and the pressures of the outside world. When we are no longer enslaved by these forces, we experience an internal liberation that empowers us to live in accordance with our deepest values and principles. In summary, the Stoic journey toward inner tranquility is one of the fundamental pillars of this philosophy. It emphasizes independence from external circumstances, the acceptance of life's impermanence, the detachment from negative emotions, and the unwavering pursuit of virtue. This path leads to a life that is more serene, ethically grounded, and filled with meaning. A life in which true peace is found not in what surrounds us, but in what resides within us. Let's now explore the second Stoic principle, which centers on the acceptance of what lies beyond our control. This idea is one of the cornerstones of mastering the mind and cultivating a life of calm and wisdom. According to the Stoics, many aspects of life, such as other people's actions, natural events, the past, and even the future, are completely outside our direct influence. The secret to Stoic serenity lies in fully embracing this truth and focusing our energy on what we can control, our own thoughts, choices, and behavior. The Stoics encourage us to clearly understand the boundaries of our control. They urge us to distinguish between what is within our power, our attitudes, responses, and intentions, and what is beyond it. By making this distinction, we can spare ourselves from unnecessary frustration. Recognizing that we cannot change the behavior of others or undo past events helps us let go of needless emotional turmoil. Another powerful idea in this teaching is the release of unrealistic expectations. Much of our suffering comes from hoping that reality will conform to our desires. The Stoics advise us to let go of excessive expectations and to accept life as it truly is. This acceptance doesn't mean becoming indifferent or passive, but rather approaching reality with clarity and strength, without being emotionally enslaved to outcomes we can't control. A calm approach to adversity comes from accepting that difficulties are an inevitable part of life. The Stoics cultivate resilience and courage in order to confront challenges with inner calm. Instead of resisting hardships, we can begin to view them as opportunities for growth and learning. What matters most is our response, not the external event itself. Even though we cannot control external circumstances, we do have the power to govern our reactions to them. The Stoics emphasized that our capacity to choose how we respond is one of the most valuable gifts we possess. As such, we should direct our energy toward developing virtuous reactions, nurturing qualities like patience, compassion, and wisdom. Letting go of attachment to both the past and the future is essential. Constantly worrying about what has already happened or what may lie ahead can rob us of the ability to live fully in the present moment. The Stoics remind us that the past is beyond our ability to change and the future remains uncertain. Therefore, wisdom lies in focusing our attention on the present, the only space where we truly have the power to act and make a difference. Accepting what we cannot control, while continuously striving for virtue and self-improvement, forms one of the key paths to inner peace and wisdom. Stoicism helps us navigate life's uncertainties and challenges with a more centered and resilient mindset, enabling us to live according to the Stoic ideals of a life filled with virtue and meaning. The third core Stoic principle is the pursuit of virtue as the highest good. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues that form the foundation of a virtuous life. These are wisdom, Sophia, courage, Andrea, justice, Dikaiosina, and temperance, Sophrosina. Each of these virtues plays a crucial role in our pursuit of moral excellence. Wisdom, or Sophia, involves the relentless search for knowledge and a deep understanding of both the world and human nature. This includes a commitment to truth, the development of self-awareness, and the discernment to identify what truly matters in life. Courage, or Andrea, is the virtue that enables us to confront fear and act rightly, even in the face of danger or hardship. The Stoics viewed courage as inherently linked with wisdom, since wise judgment is necessary to know which risks are worth taking and how to face adversity effectively. Justice, or Dikaiosina, calls for us to act with fairness, integrity, and respect for the rights and dignity of others. For the Stoics, justice was essential not only for personal virtue, but also for maintaining harmony within society. Temperance, or Sophrosina, is the discipline of managing desires and controlling impulses. It involves avoiding excesses, maintaining balance, and mastering one's emotions so that serenity can be preserved in all situations. Living virtuously is a lifelong journey that requires continuous effort. The Stoics believed that no one is ever fully virtuous, but that every person can work to improve these virtues over time. Virtue is also seen as the true source of happiness. The Stoics taught that genuine fulfillment and meaning come from living a life guided by virtue, regardless of external conditions. Virtue also leads to a form of emotional and spiritual self-sufficiency. This means that our sense of joy and satisfaction does not depend on material wealth, social status, or the approval of others. Instead, happiness stems from inner integrity and moral strength. The pursuit of virtue demands self-control and a willingness to transform oneself. It involves acknowledging our flaws and past mistakes and continually striving to become better human beings. This path of constant improvement and ethical living is what gives life its deepest meaning. Practicing virtue is therefore more than a philosophical idea. It is a way of life that allows us to make just decisions, live harmoniously with others, and contribute to the greater good. In essence, virtue as the highest good lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. It guides us in our quest for wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, helping us lead a life that is both virtuous and meaningful. Stoic virtue is not a distant ideal or abstract concept, but a set of guiding principles that can be applied in daily life. These principles empower us to live ethically and peacefully, no matter the external circumstances. The fourth Stoic principle centers on the control of emotions. Mastering our emotions is essential for attaining serenity and virtue. According to Stoic teachings, emotions are powerful, and, if left unchecked, can lead us to act impulsively or irrationally. For this reason, the Stoics placed great importance on the regulation of emotional responses. The first step in this process is developing emotional self-awareness, the ability to recognize and understand our emotions as they arise. This involves becoming aware of when we are feeling emotions such as anger, fear, or sadness. Once we identify the emotion we're experiencing, the Stoics suggest cultivating a sense of emotional distance rather than surrendering ourselves entirely to it. They advise taking a mental step back to observe and analyze the situation from a more rational and objective standpoint. The Stoic perspective emphasizes that reason should guide us more than emotion. This means harnessing the power of our rational mind to assess whether a specific emotion is appropriate or beneficial in a given situation. For example, if we find ourselves feeling angry, we should examine whether that anger is justified and whether acting on it would be the right and virtuous choice. After assessing our emotional response, we are encouraged to choose an action that aligns with virtuous principles. Instead of reacting impulsively with anger, we can decide to respond with calmness and empathy. This approach demands self-discipline and consistent effort to reshape our negative emotional responses. Moreover, the Stoics also teach that negative emotions can be transformed into positive, constructive actions. For instance, rather than allowing fear to overwhelm or immobilize us, we can use it as motivation to act wisely and take appropriate precautions. The ultimate aim is to achieve emotional equanimity, a balanced emotional state where we are not ruled by our feelings. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions entirely, but learning to manage them in a way that they do not cloud our judgment or lead us into unwise actions. The Stoics acknowledge that emotions are a natural part of being human. They don't advocate for the total elimination of emotions, but for their thoughtful and virtuous management. Natural emotions like grief in response to loss or joy in moments of success are acknowledged as part of our shared human experience. Mastering our emotions is a continuous and often difficult journey, but it is an essential one for those who wish to lead a more peaceful and morally sound life. The Stoics believe that by regulating our emotional responses and consistently choosing virtuous actions, we can live in harmony with fundamental values such as wisdom, justice, and courage, regardless of what is happening around us. This self-mastery leads us to a deeply cherished inner peace, a hallmark of Stoic philosophy. Another core Stoic principle essential to mastering the mind and living a more meaningful life is the practice of living in the present moment. This principle encourages us to concentrate on the here and now, steering our minds away from dwelling on the past or feeling anxious about the future. Let's explore this idea more deeply. And don't forget to follow us on our daily Stoic TikTok account and across our social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Living in the present begins with releasing regret. The Stoics teach that regret over the past serves no useful purpose, since what has happened is beyond our control. Instead of becoming lost in guilt or remorse, we should focus on learning from our mistakes and past experiences. This attitude liberates us from the emotional burden of what can no longer be changed and redirects our energy toward the present moment, where our actions still have power. Equally, the Stoics warn against becoming consumed with worry about the future. While it is wise to plan and prepare, they remind us that the future is inherently uncertain. We should not let fear or anxiety about what might happen take control of our thoughts or actions. Acknowledging this uncertainty helps us remain grounded and make wiser decisions without being overcome by dread. The Stoics also urge us to deeply appreciate the present moment, as it is the only time that truly belongs to us. They invite us to find joy in life's small, everyday moments and to recognize the beauty in the world around us. This mindset doesn't just provide us with a sense of contentment, but it also nurtures a spirit of gratitude and presence. Being fully engaged with our current tasks is another aspect of this teaching. Focusing on the present means giving our complete attention to whatever we are doing. It means resisting distractions and the temptation to multitask, allowing us to perform our duties with greater effectiveness and deeper appreciation. In Stoic thought, the present moment is also seen as our only true source of control. By directing our awareness to the now, we can channel our efforts toward making wise, ethical decisions rather than wasting energy on things that are beyond our influence, especially those rooted in the future. Practices like meditation and mindfulness are useful tools to help us remain anchored in the present. These practices train our minds to become more consciously aware of each moment, reduce mental restlessness, and promote a sense of inner calm. By living more fully in the present, we reduce the emotional suffering that arises from ruminating on the past or fearing the future. This not only enhances our overall well-being, but also sharpens our ability to make thoughtful and ethical choices. In essence, the Stoic principle of living in the present teaches us to cherish the moment we are in, to accept the impermanence of life, and to find meaning and serenity in the here and now. Focusing on the present moment teaches us to cherish the here and now, to embrace life's fleeting nature, and to discover a sense of control and fulfillment in the present. This mindset does not imply forgetting the past or avoiding plans for the future. Instead, it calls us to live intentionally and meaningfully in the present, the only moment over which we truly have influence. This present-centered awareness contributes significantly to a peaceful mind and a more meaningful life. Now, let us move into the sixth Stoic principle. This principle invites us to reassess our relationship with the external world and with sensory experiences, urging us to cultivate a sense of equanimity in response to them. The sixth Stoic principle is the practice of indifference toward pleasures and pains. The Stoics maintain that the restless pursuit of pleasure and the fear of pain are major causes of human suffering. To achieve serenity and live virtuously, it becomes necessary to adopt a posture of healthy indifference toward these experiences. In matters of pleasure, the Stoics do not call for total abstinence. Rather, they advocate for moderation and wisdom. They remind us that the endless chase after pleasure often results in destructive excess. In contrast, the pursuit of moderation allows us to avoid the suffering that comes from overindulgence. The same measured approach applies to pain. Instead of fleeing from discomfort, the Stoics encourage us to face pain and adversity with bravery and composure. These experiences are not enemies to be feared, but opportunities to grow and to fortify the mind. The principle of indifference is at the core of Stoic philosophy. It involves maintaining a neutral attitude toward external conditions, things like wealth, social status, or material success. While these may be part of life, they are ultimately irrelevant to our virtue and happiness. This is not to say we shouldn't enjoy life's pleasures. Rather, we are cautioned against placing our happiness solely in things beyond our control. Emotional detachment is another critical aspect. The Stoics encourage the cultivation of a calm emotional state, one that does not fluctuate wildly with external changes. We are not to be ruled by emotions triggered by gains or losses. Instead, we should strive to establish an inner peace that endures regardless of external circumstances. True happiness, according to Stoic wisdom, is found in the pursuit and embodiment of virtue. By committing to wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we access a deeper, more enduring joy than what can be found in temporary sensory pleasures. This approach requires considerable self-control. Practicing indifference toward both pleasure and pain involves freeing ourselves from the tyranny of desires and from the fear of suffering. With this self-discipline, we become capable of making decisions that are both rational and ethical. In conclusion, the practice of indifference to pleasure and pain is a foundational teaching in Stoicism. It teaches us how to create a healthy balance with external and sensory experiences. This discipline helps us avoid excess, reduces unnecessary suffering, and guides us toward deeper contentment through the pursuit of virtue and self-improvement. It is a principle that leads to a more serene and well-balanced life. Now we move on to the seventh and final Stoic principle, which centers on the profound concept of self-knowledge. This idea is not only a pillar of Stoic thought, but also of many other philosophical and spiritual traditions. For the Stoics, understanding oneself is the necessary foundation for mastering the mind, and by extension, mastering life itself. The seventh Stoic principle is self-knowledge, cultivated through continuous and honest self-examination. The Stoics urge us to constantly observe and evaluate ourselves. This means objectively reflecting on our own thoughts, emotions, and actions, much like looking into a mental mirror. Through this practice, we begin to recognize both our strengths and weaknesses, as well as our habitual tendencies. A crucial part of this self-awareness is identifying our desires and aversions. Too often, our lives are governed by irrational cravings or baseless fears that lead to distress. By shining a light on these patterns, we gain the ability to question their truth and begin the process of managing them. The Stoics also encourage us to reflect deeply on our values, the guiding principles that truly matter to us. What are we striving for in life? This type of introspection allows us to align our actions with our most authentic values, fostering a life of greater meaning and purpose. Self-knowledge further involves learning to accept ourselves as we are, embracing both our strengths and our flaws. However, this acceptance does not equate to complacency. Instead, it signifies the honest acknowledgement of where we are and a sincere commitment to continued growth and improvement. Lastly, the Stoics warn us against the danger of self-deception, the tendency to excuse our behavior or rationalize actions that may be harmful. Through the practice of self-knowledge, we can identify when we fall into the trap of self-deception. This continuous process of self-awareness is not an end in itself, but rather a means of achieving self-transformation and ongoing personal growth. By gaining a deeper understanding of ourselves, we can begin to cultivate a more resilient and virtuous mindset. The Stoics emphasize the importance of developing virtues such as courage, temperance, wisdom, and justice. In essence, self-knowledge serves as the solid foundation upon which Stoic philosophy is built, helping us discern what is within our control and what lies beyond it. It allows us to identify our desires and aversions, and, in doing so, to shape our minds according to virtuous principles. This journey of self-discovery empowers us to free ourselves from the bondage of our emotions and thoughts, making us more resilient and wise in the face of life's inevitable challenges. As we explore the principles of Stoic philosophy, we find a roadmap to mastering our minds and, consequently, our lives. From the cultivation of self-knowledge to the pursuit of virtue as the ultimate good, these teachings offer us the tools to navigate the turbulent waters of existence with clarity, wisdom, and ethical integrity. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true wealth is found not in material possessions, but in inner peace, self-transformation, and the relentless pursuit of virtue. In a world that often presents us with challenges and uncertainties, Stoicism offers a guiding light that leads us toward a more balanced and meaningful life. It reminds us that, despite external circumstances, we have the power to shape our minds and choices. Let's get real. Most people are too afraid to tell you to your face that they don't like you. Instead, they hide behind fake smiles, hollow compliments, and forced politeness. I've been there too, thinking someone was a friend, only to find out they were secretly hoping for my downfall. It's brutal, but here's the truth. If you don't recognize the signs, you'll end up wasting your time and energy on people who deep down can't understand you. So, let's cut through the BS and talk about the signs that someone dislikes you but is hiding it. You might not like what you hear, but it's better to face the truth than live in denial. 1. They're always joking about your flaws. We all know that one person who loves to joke, especially when the joke is at your expense. They'll pick at your quirks, mistakes, and imperfections, always with a smile, saying, "I'm just messing with you." At first it seems harmless, but let's be honest. These jokes are often more than just playful banter. They're calculated digs cleverly disguised as humor, meant to chip away at your self-esteem bit by bit. I remember a time when I was close to someone who always had something to say about me, how I dressed, the way I spoke, even the projects I was working on. At first, I laughed it off, thinking it was all in good fun. But over time, I noticed a pattern. The jokes were always aimed at my perceived weaknesses, never at my strengths. It wasn't long before I started second-guessing myself, wondering if maybe I was the problem. Here's where the controversy kicks in. People who consistently joke about your flaws aren't doing it out of affection. They're testing the waters to see how much disrespect you'll tolerate. It's a subtle form of manipulation, a way for them to assert dominance while keeping you in your place. They're telling you, in no uncertain terms, that you're beneath them. The most insidious part is that they get away with it because we've been conditioned to believe that if we can't take a joke, we're the ones with the problem. But let's flip that script. I'm here to tell you that there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself when a joke crosses the line. In fact, it's essential. You deserve to be around people who lift you up, not those who knock you down for a cheap laugh. True friends don't need to point out your flaws to feel better about themselves. They celebrate your strengths and help you work through your weaknesses without making you the butt of the joke. I've seen it happen time and again. People who let these kinds of jokes slide, thinking it's easier to keep the peace than make waves. But here's the deep truth. Allowing others to disrespect you, even in jest, is a slippery slope. It starts with small comments, but over time those jokes can wear you down, making you question your worth. The more you allow it, the more they'll push until you're left doubting yourself, all because you didn't want to seem too sensitive. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I realized that by laughing along, I was giving them permission to keep going. I was complicit in my own disrespect. It wasn't until I started setting boundaries and standing up for myself that I noticed a change, not only in how they treated me, but in how I began to see myself. I stopped allowing their words to define me and started taking control of my own story. Here's my advice. The next time someone makes a joke at your expense, don't just brush it off. Ask yourself, is this really funny, or is there something deeper going on here? If it's the latter, don't be afraid to call them out. It might feel uncomfortable, and it might even end the friendship, but your self-respect is worth more than someone else's misguided attempt at humor. Life is too short to be surrounded by people who don't value you. If their version of friendship is constantly putting you down, it's time to seek out new friends. True friends don't need to bring you down to feel good about themselves. So, stand tall, speak up, and never let anyone reduce you to a punchline. 2. They give compliments that feel like insults. We've all experienced it. Someone offers you a compliment, but instead of feeling uplifted, you're left with a bitter taste, like you've been slapped with a velvet glove. It's the kind of compliment that makes you pause and wonder, was that really a compliment or an insult? And here's the harsh truth. Often, it's a mix of both. These backhanded compliments are a subtle tactic used to undermine you while pretending to be kind. I remember a time when I was proud of a big project I had worked on. After putting in countless hours of effort, I finally shared it with a group of colleagues. One of them, someone I thought had my back, said with a smile, "Wow, this is actually pretty good for someone like you." At first, I was stunned. On the surface, it seemed like a compliment, but those last words, "for someone like you," hit me like a ton of bricks. What did that even mean? Was I not expected to do good work? Here's the problem. These so-called compliments aren't meant to lift you up. They're a way to keep you in your place. It's a subtle power play where the person giving the compliment is asserting their superiority while making you doubt your own abilities. What they're really saying is, "I see you trying, but you'll never be as good as me." It's toxic, but it's disguised so well that you almost don't see the harm in it. Let's face it, people who give backhanded compliments are often insecure themselves. They see your strengths and potential, and it intimidates them. So, they throw in these little digs to keep you questioning yourself, making sure you don't surpass them. It's like they're giving you a pat on the back with one hand while holding you down with the other. And here's where it gets even more complicated. We've all done this at some point, not always on purpose, but we've allowed our own insecurities to slip into a compliment that serves to remind someone of their place. But here's the important lesson. You don't have to accept these disguised jabs. You have the power to recognize them for what they are, a reflection of their own insecurities, not a measure of your worth. When someone says, "You're smarter than you look," or "This is good considering you're new at this," don't just take it. Call them out on it, even if it feels awkward. Because if you don't speak up, you allow others to control how you view yourself, and that's a power you should never give away. Over time, I learned to recognize these backhanded compliments for what they truly are, reflections of someone else's insecurities. When you see them this way, they lose their sting. Instead of taking it personally, you can almost laugh it off, because their words reveal more about them than about you. Now, when I receive a backhanded compliment, I don't just let it pass. I'll respond with something like, "Thanks, but what do you mean by that?" This forces them to face the insult hidden in their words, and it often catches them off guard. They suddenly realize you're not falling for their game, and it's incredible how quickly their attitude shifts. The key takeaway: don't let anyone's subtle negativity define who you are. Whether it's a well-meaning friend, a jealous colleague, or even a family member, your worth is never up for debate. Compliments should elevate you, not bring you down. If their words make you doubt yourself, it's time to question their intentions. Life's too short to waste on people who can't celebrate your successes genuinely. Surround yourself with those who see your value and are willing to remind you of it without hidden agendas. 3. They subtly exclude you from plans. It's often the small things that hurt the most, like realizing your so-called friends accidentally forgot to invite you to an event, dinner, or weekend getaway. They'll say it was an oversight, a last-minute thing, or worse, assume you were too busy anyway. But let's be real, these aren't accidents. This is a form of social exclusion, and it's a clear sign that you're not as valued as you think. I've been there too many times. I remember checking my phone one weekend and seeing pictures of friends enjoying an event I would have loved to attend. The kicker? Not a single person mentioned it to me beforehand. When I brought it up later, they had all kinds of excuses. We thought you were busy, or it was a last-minute plan. But deep down, I knew the truth. If they really wanted me there, they would have made sure I knew about it. Here's where it gets tricky. This type of exclusion isn't just thoughtless, it's intentional. It's a way of sending a message without saying anything directly. They don't want you there, but don't have the courage to say it. Instead, they hope you'll quietly fade out of the group without making a fuss. It's passive-aggressive and cowardly, but unfortunately, it's also all too common. People rarely talk about this because it's easier to pretend it's not happening. It's easier to convince yourself it was just a mistake, rather than face the painful reality that you're being pushed out. But here's the thing. If you keep accepting these excuses, you're giving them the power to continue excluding you. You're letting them decide your place in their lives, rather than taking control of your own story. I had to learn this the hard way. For a while I kept quiet, hoping I'd be included next time. But then I realized that by staying silent, I was allowing myself to be treated as an afterthought. So I did something bold. I began confronting them about it. I'd ask, "Hey, I saw you all went out last weekend. Why didn't anyone invite me?" It wasn't easy, and it definitely created some tension, but it forced them to face their behavior. And the result? The dynamics shifted. Some became defensive, while others tried to make amends. But the message was clear. I wasn't going to let them exclude me without standing up for myself. Here's the important lesson. If people truly value you, they'll make the effort to include you, no matter how last-minute the plans may be. If they don't, then it's time to reassess the worth of those relationships. You deserve to be surrounded by people who don't make you feel like you're always chasing their approval or attention. Real friends don't forget to invite you. They make sure you're there because they genuinely enjoy your company. So, if you find yourself being subtly excluded from plans, don't just let it slide. Confront the issue. Ask the tough questions and be ready for answers, even if they're not what you want to hear. Because in the end, it's better to know where you stand than to keep wondering why you keep getting left out. And remember, you're not a backup option. You're a priority. Surround yourself with people who treat you as one. 4. They're busy, but only when it's you. We've all heard the excuse, "I'm so busy these days, sorry I can't hang out." It's the perfect excuse. Who isn't busy? But what happens when a pattern emerges? They're always free for others, posting pictures from outings, catching up with mutual friends. Yet when it's your turn, they're suddenly swamped. Here's the reality. They're not too busy. They're just too busy for you. I've experienced this frustration more than I care to admit. I remember reaching out to a close friend, trying to set up time to catch up. Every time I suggested something, they had an excuse. "I'm working late. I've got too much on my plate. Maybe next week." Meanwhile, I'd see them out with others, having a blast, always managing to find time for everyone but me. It took me a while to catch on, but the message became undeniable. I wasn't a priority in their life anymore. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. We've been conditioned to accept busy as a reasonable excuse for being left out. But the truth is, people make time for what or who they care about. If they're always too busy for you, it's not about their schedule, it's about their priorities. And that's a hard truth to swallow, because it forces you to face the possibility that you might not be as important to them as they are to you. The harsh truth is that busy is often just a polite way of saying, I don't want to spend time with you. It's easier for them to blame it on their schedule than to admit they're choosing not to include you in their life. It's a passive-aggressive way of keeping you at a distance without confronting the reality of the situation. They want to keep you on standby, just in case, without actually investing in the relationship. I've been on both sides of this, sometimes making excuses because I didn't know how to tell someone I'd outgrown the friendship. But being on the receiving end taught me a powerful lesson. It's always better to be honest, even if it's uncomfortable, than to string someone along with excuses. When I finally confronted my friend about constantly being too busy, the conversation was uncomfortable, but it was essential. It gave me the clarity I needed to move forward and invest my time and energy into relationships where I was truly valued. The underlying message here is that your time and energy are valuable. Don't waste them on people who make no effort to prioritize you. If someone is always too busy for you, it's time to reassess the relationship. You deserve to be surrounded by people who are genuinely excited to spend time with you, who make an effort to include you, not just when it suits them, but because they truly enjoy your company. It's important to recognize that people change, and so do relationships. Sometimes we hold on to people out of habit, nostalgia, or the fear of being alone, even when they have clearly moved on. But there's strength in letting go and acknowledging that you deserve more than someone's leftover time. It's not about being demanding or needy. It's about valuing yourself enough to walk away from those who don't value you. 5. They avoid physical contact like the plague. Let's address the elephant in the room, physical contact, or rather, the lack of it. We're not just talking about romantic relationships here. Physical contact is a fundamental human interaction, a way of connecting and building trust. So, what does it mean when someone goes out of their way to avoid even the simplest touch? The answer isn't pleasant. They are sending a clear signal that they are uncomfortable around you, and it's important to pay attention. I once had a colleague who would recoil whenever I tried to initiate a handshake or offer a friendly pat on the back. Initially, I thought I was imagining things, but I soon realized it wasn't just me. They were warm and tactile with everyone else, but with me, it felt like I had the plague. Eventually, I came to realize that their avoidance of physical contact wasn't just a quirk, it was a deliberate effort to keep a distance. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Physical contact is an essential part of human connection. When someone consistently avoids it, they are communicating a lack of comfort or connection. Sure, some people aren't touchy-feely, and that's fine. But when it's selective, when they're happy to hug others but stiffen up around you, it's a red flag that something isn't right. They may not explicitly dislike you, but their body language says otherwise. We've all been there, both on the giving and receiving end. Maybe you've avoided a handshake or pulled back when someone got too close because you weren't feeling the vibe. Or maybe you've been left wondering why someone always seems to flinch when you're around. It's awkward, uncomfortable, and often a sign that the relationship isn't as strong as you thought. But here's the deeper truth. Physical contact is how we express trust, warmth, and empathy. When someone avoids it with you, they are not just avoiding touch, they're avoiding intimacy, vulnerability, and closeness. They are keeping you at arm's length, both literally and figuratively. This is a clear indication that something is off in the relationship. I've learned to pay attention to these subtle signs, even when it's difficult to accept what they mean. There was a time when I dismissed the signs, convincing myself that someone's reluctance to get close was simply a personality trait. However, the more I reflected on it, the more I realized that it was about me and the nature of our relationship. When I finally addressed the issue, it led to some tough conversations, and in some cases, the end of the relationship. But ultimately, it freed me from the frustration of wondering why things felt off. The deep message: don't ignore the signs. When someone avoids physical contact with you, it's more than just a preference. It's a reflection of their comfort level and connection with you. If you start noticing this pattern, don't hesitate to bring it up. It could lead to a deeper understanding or reveal that the relationship isn't as strong as you thought. In either case, it's better to face the truth than to live in denial. You deserve relationships where physical contact isn't something to be avoided, but something that happens naturally and comfortably. Whether it's a friendly hug, a handshake, or simply sitting close without feeling awkward, these small gestures are crucial for building trust and connection. If someone consistently avoids them, it's a sign that something is wrong. Don't be afraid to ask the difficult questions, and if necessary, make tough decisions. Life is too short to be surrounded by people who keep you at a distance, both literally and figuratively. 6. They disappear when you need support. Let's face it, nothing truly reveals the nature of a relationship like a crisis. When times get tough, you find out who your real friends are. So, what does it say about someone when they disappear just when you need them most? It's not just flakiness. It's a glaring sign that they're not as invested in you as you might have thought. I learned this the hard way during a particularly challenging time in my life. I was dealing with a major personal issue that deeply affected me. Naturally, I turned to the people I considered close friends, hoping for some support, even if it was just a simple text or call. But instead, I got silence. The people I thought would be there for me suddenly had every excuse in the book. I'm swamped at work. Sorry, I'm really busy right now. I'll check in later. Spoiler alert, they never did. Here's the controversial part. Many people love to say they'll always be there for you, but when the going gets tough, they're only around for the good times. They'll celebrate with you, enjoy the highs, and laugh with you. But when things get serious, they vanish. It's easier for them to ghost you than to face your pain or discomfort. The reality is, they don't care enough to be there when it matters. Let's be honest, true support isn't about convenience. It's about being there when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, and when you'd rather not. The people who disappear when you need them most aren't just inconsiderate. They're showing you exactly where you stand in their life. They're saying, without words, your problems aren't worth my time. I remember feeling completely heartbroken when I realized that the people I had been there for, during their breakups, family struggles, and career setbacks, couldn't be bothered to return the favor. It was a painful wake-up call, but also a valuable lesson. Nothing reveals the true nature of a relationship like a crisis. When things get tough, you find out who your real friends are. So what does it say about someone when they vanish the moment you need them most? It's not just a sign of flakiness, it's a neon warning that they're not as invested in you as you might have thought. I learned this the hard way during a particularly rough patch in my life. I was facing a major personal issue that really shook me to my core. Naturally, I turned to the people I considered close friends, expecting some level of support, even if it was just a text or a quick call. But guess what? Crickets. The people I thought would be there for me suddenly had every excuse in the book. I'm so swamped at work. Sorry, I'm really busy right now. I'll check in with you later. Spoiler alert, they never did. The controversial truth. People love to talk about how they'll always be there for you, but when push comes to shove, many of them are only around for the good times. They'll party with you, laugh with you, and enjoy the high points of your life. But the minute things get real, they're nowhere to be found. It's easier for them to ghost you than to deal with your pain or discomfort. Deep down, they don't care enough to be there when it counts. True support isn't about convenience. It's about being there when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, and when it's the last thing you want to do. The people who disappear when you need them most aren't just being inconsiderate. They're showing you exactly where you stand in their life. They're saying, without words, your problems aren't worth my time. My wake-up call. I remember feeling absolutely gutted when I realized that the people I'd been there for in the past, during their breakups, family dramas, and career setbacks, couldn't be bothered to return the favor. It was a wake-up call, and not a pleasant one, but it was also a lesson I needed to learn. Not everyone who smiles in your face is truly in your corner. The deep message: support is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. It's easy to be around when everything's going well, but the real test of a relationship is how people respond when things fall apart. If someone disappears the moment you need them, they're not just failing you, they're showing you that they were never really there in the first place. Don't let their absence make you bitter. Let it make you better. Use it as a filter to sift out the people who don't deserve a place in your life. The ones who stick around, check in and show up, even when it's inconvenient, those are the people who truly matter. These are the relationships you should nurture and cherish. Life is too short to invest in fair-weather friends. Surround yourself with people who will stand by you in the storm, not just bask in the sunshine. When you find those rare individuals who stick around when the chips are down, you've found something worth holding on to. And as for those who disappear, let them go. They've already shown you their true colors. 7. They gossip about you behind your back. Gossip is the social poison that spreads faster than wildfire and can burn down relationships in an instant. The thing about gossip is that it's never as innocent as people often make it out to be. When someone you consider a friend talks behind your back, they aren't just sharing a harmless story. They're actively sabotaging your trust, your reputation, and your relationship. Let's be real. When someone gossips about you, it's a clear sign that they don't respect you, no matter how friendly they act in person. I've been the subject of gossip before, and let me tell you, it's one of the most gut-wrenching experiences. There was a time when I confided in someone I thought was a close friend about a personal issue. I trusted them to keep it between us, to unload some of the weight I was carrying. But within days, details of that conversation started circulating, twisted and exaggerated. It was like a game of telephone, but instead of the message getting lost, it was being weaponized against me. The person I trusted turned my vulnerability into entertainment for others. People who gossip about you aren't just venting or sharing concerns. They're playing a power game. Gossip is a way for them to elevate themselves while putting you down, all without having to confront you directly. It's cowardly, manipulative, and toxic. They're not just damaging your reputation, they're damaging the very foundation of trust that any real relationship is built on. Let's get one thing straight. People who gossip about others to you will gossip about you to others. It's a pattern, not a one-time thing. I've seen it happen too many times to count. Someone who loves to spill the tea on everyone else will suddenly go quiet when they're around you. Guess what? They're probably spilling your tea when you're not around. Gossip is the worst kind of betrayal because it's done in the shadows without giving you the chance to defend yourself or even know what's being said. I remember confronting the friend who gossiped about me, expecting some sort of apology or at least an explanation. Instead, they brushed it off, acting like it was no big deal, just a bit of harmless talk. But here's the truth. Gossip is never harmless. It's a betrayal, plain and simple, and it says far more about the person spreading it than it does about the person it's about. In the end, it's crucial to recognize the red flags in your relationships, whether it's people disappearing when you need them most or gossiping behind your back. These actions are clear signs that something isn't right. Confronting these issues, although uncomfortable, will help you focus on the relationships that truly deserve your time and energy. When we think about the noise that fills our minds, it's those endless inner dialogues that immediately come to the forefront. The worries, the fears, the endless what-ifs, they occupy every mental corner until, without even realizing it, we become entangled in a cycle that holds us captive. This cycle often paralyzes us, especially in today's world where distractions are constant and life's demands feel overwhelming. Calming the mind has become an enormous challenge, and this is exactly where Stoicism steps in, not just as a tool for enduring hardship, but as a reliable guide through the storm of mental chaos. Stoicism, at its heart, is about more than simply enduring adversity. It's about navigating life with a sense of serenity and a clear, composed mind. Picture your mind as a vast ocean. At times, it is serene and still. At other times, it's as though the waves of chaos and confusion are crashing all around, threatening to consume you. How do you stay afloat in such turbulent waters? How do you find that deep sense of calm you yearn for when everything outside seems to pull you into the storm? This is where 8 straightforward Stoic strategies come in. Tools not rooted in quick fixes or magical thinking, but in principles that ancient wise men lived by daily. These same principles can be applied in our lives today, even though our world looks drastically different. Let's begin with accepting reality as it is, without resistance. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the radical acceptance of reality just as it presents itself. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and in those moments our minds tend to overflow with frustration, anger, or sadness. But instead of fighting what cannot be changed, the Stoic path encourages us to accept things exactly as they are. Seneca put it perfectly when he said that fate leads those who accept it and drags those who resist. It's this inner resistance to what happens that creates immense psychological distress. Think about how many times you found yourself stressed over something that had already occurred, or felt upset about a situation not unfolding as you had hoped. We resist reality because we want it to be different, and that desire alone generates constant inner tension. It's like rowing against the current, using up all your energy fighting what already is. Accepting reality doesn't mean giving up or resigning to the idea that things can never improve. Rather, it means understanding that there are moments in life that lie beyond our control. Stoic acceptance is about releasing the inner resistance that drains us. And once we do that, the mind begins to relax. It's like ceasing to wrestle with reality and instead learning to move with it. Many times, we hesitate to accept unpleasant situations because we fear that acceptance means we're okay with them, or that we're allowing them to affect us without protest. But in truth, acceptance is about creating mental space. When you accept what's happening, you remove its power to dominate your emotions. From that calm space, you gain clarity and can make better decisions. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and realize you're going to be late for a very important meeting. You have two choices. You can mentally resist the situation, curse the traffic, feel overwhelmed and angry, which changes absolutely nothing. Or you can accept where you are, recognize there's nothing you can do to change it in that moment, and shift into a calmer state. The first reaction fills your mind with unnecessary noise. The second gives you the mental peace to handle the situation as effectively as possible. Acceptance is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Each time you encounter something beyond your control, remember Seneca's wisdom. Ask yourself, am I letting this situation drag me down, or am I allowing it to guide me? By accepting what cannot be changed, you reduce mental friction, and that inner tension begins to dissolve. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle well when he wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." If we constantly resist change, we set ourselves up for continual frustration. But if we embrace change as a part of life, we unlock a surprising sense of peace. Life isn't defined solely by what happens around us, but by how we choose to interpret and respond to those events. Accepting what is, without resistance, is one of the most powerful ways to bring calm to the mind. It frees you from the torment of wishing things were different, allowing you to redirect your focus toward what truly matters, your mindset and your response. Next comes practicing full presence, mindfulness in the now. This is where Stoicism reveals its true transformative power. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most well-known philosopher-emperors, wrote in his Meditations that people waste away when they allow their minds to drift through the past or the future. The present, he reminds us, is the only moment we truly possess. And although this idea sounds simple, it can profoundly change how we experience life. Why? Because the mind has a habit of traveling back and forth, reliving the past or worrying about the future. We replay moments, wondering why we said certain things or wishing we had acted differently. We worry about outcomes that haven't even happened, wondering, what if I fail? Or what if things go wrong? This constant mental tug-of-war exhausts us. It generates anxiety. It robs us of inner peace. The Stoic solution is to anchor ourselves in the present. The present is all that truly exists. It is the only moment over which we have any real influence. Everything else, our memories, our anticipations, is just mental projection. The more time we spend mentally elsewhere, the further we drift from clarity and peace. Practicing mindfulness, what we now commonly call being present, means returning your attention again and again to what is happening right now. It doesn't mean ignoring the past or avoiding thoughts of the future, but it does mean becoming aware of when you're lost in them and gently guiding your mind back to the here and now. This is a practice. At first, it can feel unnatural because our minds are so conditioned to wander. But the more we practice, the more we begin to feel the incredible power of presence. Think about those moments when you're completely immersed in something, whether it's a captivating book, an engaging conversation, or even a simple meal enjoyed without distractions. During those times, your mind is calm. There are no worries, no regrets, no fears, just pure awareness. That's the core of this strategy. A practical way to start is by paying close attention to your breath. When your thoughts begin spiraling into the past or future, pause. Take a few deep breaths. Focus on the sensation of air moving in and out of your body. This simple act can ground you in the moment. Marcus Aurelius also advised us to focus on what's in front of us, to give our full attention to the task at hand. When you train your mind to return to the present, something extraordinary happens. The mental noise begins to fade. The thoughts may still be there, but they no longer control you with the same force. In the present moment, there is no room for regrets or anxiety, only awareness of what you're doing right now. And that awareness brings a sense of calm and clarity that's hard to find anywhere else. The practice of mindfulness is what breaks the endless mental loops that fill your mind with unnecessary chatter. By returning again and again to the present, you discover that this moment, just as it is enough. And in that realization, peace begins to grow. Now let's explore emotional detachment. This is one of those powerful Stoic tools that, once truly understood, can completely reshape how you perceive life. But we must be clear, emotional detachment in the Stoic sense doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. On the contrary, it's about loving deeply and committing fully, but doing so without letting your happiness or inner peace depend on outcomes that lie beyond your control. Seneca expressed this well when he said, "Love, but love as one who knows it won't last forever." At first glance, that might sound harsh, but the purpose behind this teaching is liberating. When we grow too emotionally attached to something, a person, a possession, or even a cherished dream, we set ourselves up for suffering. Life changes, circumstances shift, and when they do, it's that very attachment that creates our pain. Emotional detachment is not about caring less. It's about holding things, people, and outcomes more lightly. It's recognizing that all things are temporary, and that true peace comes from within, not from external conditions. Detachment doesn't weaken your love, it strengthens your resilience. Because you can love, you can care, and you can commit, while still remembering that nothing is guaranteed to remain the same. The moment we release the need to control or cling, we begin to free ourselves from the emotional chaos that drains us. This is the Stoic way of loving fully while standing firm within yourself, being engaged with life, yet not enslaved by its inevitable changes. Practicing emotional detachment doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It actually means engaging with life more deeply. It's about cherishing what you have and valuing your relationships without becoming so attached that your happiness feels dependent on them. Think about how often you've experienced anxiety or emotional distress simply because you feared losing something, a job, a relationship, a dream opportunity. That sense of emotional dependency generates fear, and when life doesn't unfold the way we hoped, suffering becomes inevitable. But detachment isn't about cold indifference. It's about liberating yourself from the grip that external outcomes have over your inner peace. The Stoics believed that it's entirely possible to love and appreciate something deeply while simultaneously recognizing its impermanence. When you cultivate this kind of emotional detachment, your mind begins to quiet down. You're no longer tormented by the fear of losing what you hold dear. You begin to live in the present, grateful but grounded, fully aware that nothing is guaranteed to last forever. Consider a common, everyday example: attachment to material possessions. Imagine owning a car you absolutely love. It's perfectly fine to care for it and enjoy it. But if you become overly emotionally attached, something as small as a scratch or mechanical issue can throw off your entire day or even your week. Practicing detachment would mean saying, "I value this car, but I understand that it is just a possession. If I lose it tomorrow, I'll still be okay." This mindset doesn't just ease your anxiety, it shifts your entire perspective, allowing you to relate to your belongings in a healthier, more balanced way. Epictetus offered powerful wisdom on this subject when he said, "Never say of anything, 'I have lost it,' but 'I have returned it.'" The idea is simple yet transformative. Nothing truly belongs to us forever. Everything is part of the natural cycle of life. Rather than seeing a loss as something being taken from you, see it as something returning to where it came from. Adopting this mindset radically changes how you process and respond to loss, whether it's something big or something small. As you begin to live with emotional detachment, you'll find that the situations which once filled you with anxiety and stress begin to lose their intensity. It doesn't mean you've become indifferent. It means you no longer give those situations the power to dictate your peace of mind. You begin to understand that true happiness and lasting calm come from within, not from what you possess or who surrounds you. Detachment opens the door to incredible mental freedom. When you're no longer emotionally tethered to outcomes, you can fully enjoy the moment, free from the constant dread of loss. And it is within that space of freedom that real peace is found. Reflecting on your day, every single day, is another practice the Stoics deeply valued. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, would write down his thoughts, reflect on his actions, and analyze how he dealt with the challenges of his day. This wasn't just a ritual, it was a tool for growth and clarity. He encouraged himself and us to take an honest inventory at the end of the day. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What lessons can I carry into tomorrow? This habit of daily reflection is one of the most effective ways to soothe the mind and steer it toward constant improvement. Why? Because our minds are often overwhelmed, not only by the chaos of the world around us, but also by our own lack of self-awareness. When we don't take time to pause and examine our thoughts and behaviors, we fall into autopilot. We repeat the same mistakes, react in the same patterns, and often don't know why we feel stuck. Daily reflection is your opportunity to hit the pause button, to look within, and to regain control of your thoughts and actions. Imagine that before going to sleep, you spend a few quiet minutes revisiting your day. It's not about harsh self-criticism, it's about curiosity and honesty. How did you handle challenging moments? Were there times you remained calm? Did you make decisions you feel proud of? This nightly habit doesn't just help you correct your missteps, it also helps you recognize your victories. In a world that moves fast, we rarely take time to appreciate the good choices we make or the wisdom we apply in our daily lives. But acknowledging those moments, when you stayed patient, spoke kindly, or took courageous action, builds confidence and reinforces your inner calm. Seneca also emphasized this habit of nightly self-assessment. He advised us to judge ourselves at the end of the day. Write it all down, examine your words and thoughts, because each day is like a miniature lifetime. When you do this, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and can make intentional adjustments when things don't go as planned. This practice doesn't only illuminate your flaws, it also magnifies your small but meaningful achievements. These moments become anchors for your peace of mind, building resilience and a steady, balanced inner life. The idea is simple. Every night, take a few minutes to think about your day. You might even want to keep a journal, just like Marcus Aurelius did. Journaling helps you organize your thoughts and provides a space to let go of lingering worries before bedtime. It's a method for clearing your mental clutter, promoting restful sleep, and beginning the next day with clarity and calm. A useful practice is to ask yourself 3 questions each night. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? And how can I improve tomorrow? These reflections train you to live more mindfully and to close each day with purpose. Over time, this habit becomes a powerful cycle of self-awareness and continuous personal growth. When practiced consistently, daily reflection helps you correct mistakes, reinforce wise decisions, and keep your focus on what truly matters. It gives you a sense of control over your emotions and your life, which naturally reduces stress and anxiety. If you're finding value in this message, consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more insights on calming your mind with the wisdom of Stoicism. Your support means a lot. Another vital Stoic lesson is to control your thoughts. Don't let them control you. The Stoics deeply understood that the root of a disturbed and anxious mind isn't the events themselves, but how we interpret those events. Epictetus put it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. This phrase captures the profound truth that while we can't always control our external circumstances, we can absolutely control how we respond to them, and that response begins with our thoughts. Your mind is like a garden. If left untended, weeds, negative thoughts, worries and fears can quickly overrun it. It's incredibly easy to let negative thoughts spiral out of control. One small setback or mistake can turn into a flood of self-critical or catastrophic thinking. Everything's going wrong. I'll never fix this. I'm a failure. These thoughts generate chaos and unnecessary mental noise. The Stoic approach teaches us to observe our thoughts from a distance, as if we were an outside observer. You don't need to believe everything your mind tells you. Epictetus also reminded us that men are not disturbed by things, but by the opinion they have of them. This insight urges us to pause and question the automatic thoughts that cause us distress. Is this situation really as bad as I'm making it out to be? Is there another way to see this? To control your thoughts doesn't mean suppressing them. It means examining them, challenging them, and gently steering them in a more constructive direction. When your mind starts filling with negative or overwhelming thoughts, ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it making things worse? If the answer is that it's making things worse, then you have the power to shift your focus, to choose a thought that serves you better. This is where the Stoics introduce the concept of the discipline of thought, a mental habit developed through consistent practice. It's about training your mind not to be dominated by unchecked thinking. Think of your mind like a wild horse. At first, it may be unruly and hard to control, but with patience and dedication, you can learn to guide it where you want it to go. One practical technique is the Stoic art of reframing. When you catch yourself falling into a negative or stressful thought pattern, take a step back. Try to reinterpret the situation in a way that gives you perspective, strength, or calm. This is how you reclaim control of your inner world, and by doing so, you protect your peace, clarity, and power. For instance, if you're dealing with a difficult issue at work, instead of telling yourself, "I'll never be able to fix this." Try shifting your perspective to something like, "This is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to grow and learn." Doing this helps to weaken the grip of negative thinking and brings a sense of calm to your mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, spoke often about the importance of managing our inner thoughts. He once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," which reminds us that the content of our thoughts shapes the emotional tone of our lives. If your mind is filled with gloom and negativity, your world will feel the same. But if you learn to guide your thoughts in a more constructive and reasoned direction, your inner world begins to shift toward calm and clarity. Gaining control over your thoughts not only quiets the mental noise, but also deepens your self-awareness. You begin to understand that your reactions are within your control, and that realization is deeply liberating. You may not be able to change the events around you, but you can always change the story you tell yourself about them. Make it a point to take purposeful pauses throughout your day. One of the most effective ways to calm your mind is by intentionally learning to stop and breathe. In our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with stimuli, notifications, messages, emails, social media, and endless tasks. Without even realizing it, we get swept up in this relentless pace, where the idea of taking a break feels almost like a waste of time or a luxury we can't afford. But the Stoics offer a different perspective. To them, pausing isn't optional. It's essential for keeping the mind focused and grounded. Marcus Aurelius emphasized this idea, saying that people often seek peace in faraway retreats by the sea or in the mountains, but the most important place to retreat to is within yourself. His words invite us to make room for introspection amid the daily hustle and noise. You don't have to wait for a vacation or a weekend away to find peace. You can cultivate it right now, simply by giving yourself permission to stop. These pauses matter because when we keep pushing forward without rest, our minds become overloaded. We lose efficiency, our patience wears thin, and our thoughts grow more scattered. Short breaks, even just a few minutes long, allow your mind to decompress. It's like hitting a mental reset button, giving your brain the space it needs to recharge. You can apply a Stoic technique by practicing conscious pausing. Several times a day, take a few moments to stop what you're doing. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and sit quietly. You don't need to do anything elaborate. Just be present with yourself. Even a brief pause like this can have a profound effect on your state of mind. It soothes the inner chatter and brings you back into the moment. Intentional pauses also increase your awareness. Rather than reacting automatically to what's happening around you, you gain the space to respond with greater thoughtfulness. Epictetus encouraged this habit, advising that in moments of difficulty, we should pause before we act. That brief moment of reflection helps you settle your emotions and choose your response more deliberately. For example, if you're overwhelmed at work, either from a heavy workload or a tense conversation, don't allow stress to take over. Pause, breathe deeply, and give yourself a moment to refocus. Rather than being swept up by emotion, you regain your center and respond with clarity. These breaks also give you a chance to reconnect with your inner self. We often lose sight of our own needs as we chase deadlines and meet others' expectations. Taking a break is a small but meaningful act of self-care. It lets you check in with how you're feeling and what your mind and body need. Though simple, this practice can have a huge impact on your emotional well-being. Another powerful way to calm the mind is by cultivating gratitude, especially for the small things. Gratitude is a remarkably effective yet often overlooked practice. The Stoics understood that being grateful isn't just about being polite. It's a mental discipline that can radically shift how you see your life. Seneca captured this beautifully when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." In other words, much of our unhappiness comes not from what we lack, but from our obsession with always wanting more. The noise in our minds often grows from this insatiable desire to achieve more, to become more, to acquire more. We live in a culture that constantly tells us we're not enough, and that happiness lies somewhere out there in the future. This mindset keeps us in a state of chronic dissatisfaction and restlessness. But gratitude shifts that focus. When you begin to appreciate what you already have, no matter how small, you quiet that endless craving. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your problems or settling for less. It means retraining your mind to recognize the good that's already present in your life. The Stoics believed that by practicing this regularly, you lessen the volume of your discontent and find deeper inner peace. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." One practical way to begin is by spending a few minutes each day reflecting on what you're thankful for. It doesn't need to be anything extraordinary. It could be something as simple as a roof over your head, a meaningful conversation with a friend, or a cup of warm coffee in the morning. When you start acknowledging these things consciously, your entire perspective begins to change, and with it, your mind begins to quiet. Think of it this way. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, instead of fixating on what's missing, redirect your thoughts to what's already present. For example, if you're anxious about money, rather than obsessing over what you lack, you could reflect on what you've already accomplished, the opportunities you've been given, or even just the fact that you have food to eat and clothes to wear. While this doesn't magically erase your problems, it does lift you out of the spiral of negative thoughts that fuel anxiety. It brings you back to clarity. Gratitude also transforms how you relate to others. Often, we focus on how people let us down or what they failed to do, which builds resentment and emotional noise. But when you start appreciating even the small things that people do, your relationships improve and you feel more at ease. Ultimately, gratitude is a way of recognizing that even though life may not be perfect, there is always something to be thankful for. Seneca also emphasized that gratitude should not remain an internal feeling, it should be shared. Letting others know that you appreciate them strengthens your connections and adds a sense of harmony to your mental environment. Learning to release the past is also crucial for mental clarity. One of the most persistent sources of inner turmoil is our attachment to past events, whether it's mistakes we've made, missed chances, or painful experiences. Our minds can easily get stuck in loops, rehashing things we can no longer change. This habit creates unnecessary emotional weight, but the Stoics were clear about how we should approach the past. Epictetus advised us to remember that what has already happened is beyond our control, but how we respond to it now is entirely within our power. Letting go of the past doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means accepting it for what it was and recognizing that we no longer have the ability to alter it. The past is fixed. Spending energy on regrets or what-ifs only creates more anxiety and stress. By learning to release these thoughts, you give your mind space to find peace. Clinging to the past is like carrying a backpack full of heavy stones. Each regret, each painful memory, each mistake is another burden. Eventually, that weight becomes so overwhelming that it robs you of your ability to fully experience and enjoy the present moment. Stoicism invites us to drop that weight, not out of denial, but out of acceptance. When you stop carrying the emotional baggage of the past, you begin to walk more lightly, more freely, and with a mind that is clearer and more at peace. Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson: to release the weight we carry from the past. It encourages us to drop that emotional backpack, to take the lessons from our mistakes without allowing them to imprison us. Seneca captured this truth beautifully when he said we must not let the past rob us of the present. And that's exactly what happens when we cling to what's already gone. We lose our ability to be fully present, to live completely in the now. Every time our thoughts spiral into regrets, I should have done this, or I shouldn't have said that, we are squandering the precious opportunity to experience peace and clarity in the current moment. So, how do we truly let go of the past? One of the first steps is to reflect on what keeps us emotionally tied to that memory. Is it a decision we regret? A situation that turned out differently than we hoped? Ask yourself honestly, can I change this now? If the answer is no, then it's time to release it. Letting go doesn't mean pretending the event never happened, nor does it mean we ignore the lessons it brought. But once we've absorbed the insight, there is no benefit in carrying the emotional weight any further. Forgiveness becomes essential in this process, not only towards others, but also towards ourselves. Often, we are our own harshest critics. The things we struggle to let go of are usually our own past mistakes. But this is where Stoic wisdom offers comfort and clarity. We cannot go back and undo what was done. However, we do have the power to stop letting it control us. When we practice self-forgiveness, we lift the heavy burden of guilt and allow our minds the space to breathe, to rest. Epictetus wisely reminded us that learning is impossible if we are not willing to let go of our past errors. Holding on keeps us stuck in a cycle of regret, and if we continue to live in that space, replaying what went wrong, we block ourselves from moving forward into all the good we are still capable of. True learning emerges from acknowledging and accepting our failures, not from obsessing over them. A helpful exercise in this journey of release is visualization. Imagine those painful memories, those regrets, as if they were balloons in your hands. See yourself slowly letting them go, one by one, watching them drift further and further into the sky until they disappear into the distance. The goal isn't to erase them completely from your memory, but to stop gripping them so tightly. This simple act of imagination can lift a weight from your spirit and bring a sense of lightness, as if you are finally free from the emotional pressure those memories once held over you. Gratitude also plays a healing role in letting go. When you focus on appreciation for the people in your life or for what those past experiences taught you, you shift your energy. Gratitude nurtures your relationships and soothes your mind by fostering a space of positivity and peace. It reminds you that life isn't only about the things that went wrong, it's also about the growth that came from them and the love that still surrounds you. Have you ever found yourself wondering why some people seem to take an immediate disliking to you, even when there's no apparent reason for it? It can feel as though, no matter how polite or friendly you try to be, there's always someone who greets you with a cold stare or keeps their distance. What causes some individuals to harbor feelings of dislike or even resentment toward us, especially when we haven't done anything to provoke such emotions? This is a complex question, and the reasons behind these negative feelings are not always straightforward. Often, they go beyond our actions or words. The underlying causes of such feelings are rooted in human psychology and may not be as obvious as we might think. At times, these negative emotions may be the result of silent envy, unspoken insecurities, or misunderstandings that have slowly developed over time. Understanding why people may develop such intense negative feelings toward us is not just a matter of satisfying curiosity, but rather an important part of navigating the intricate social dynamics we face on a daily basis. In this video, we will explore 9 surprising reasons why others might harbor such strong negative emotions toward us. Gaining these insights can help you better understand and navigate the relationships around you, potentially opening your eyes to new perspectives. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude for the incredible support you have all shown. It brings me so much joy to create these videos, and it's even more fulfilling to read your thoughtful and encouraging comments. I make it a point to read each and every one of them. If this is your first time here, please consider hitting the like button and turning on notifications so that YouTube can help share this content with others who might find it helpful. Now, let's embark on this transformative journey together. Are you ready? One of the most common and profound reasons someone might develop hostile feelings toward you is envy or jealousy. These emotions are incredibly destructive and can corrode relationships, turning admiration into contempt and respect into resentment. Jealousy and envy often arise when someone notices qualities in you that they wish they could have but feel are unattainable. These feelings can be triggered by anything from your professional success and personal accomplishments to your character or lifestyle choices. In many cases, envy and jealousy reflect a deeper dissatisfaction with their own life. Instead of drawing inspiration from your success or feeling happy for you, they begin to view your achievements and qualities as a painful reminder of their own perceived shortcomings or misfortunes. Over time, this feeling of envy can grow into something more toxic, deep resentment. As a way of coping with their frustration and discontent, they may secretly wish for your downfall. They may believe that if they can bring you down, they will feel better about their own lives. The most damaging aspect of envy and jealousy is that it can lead people to engage in behaviors like gossip, slander, or even sabotage in an attempt to undermine your success and achievements. They might attempt to discredit your work, spread false information about your character, or make efforts to damage your reputation, all because they cannot stand to see you thrive in ways that they feel they cannot. It's important to recognize that envy and jealousy are not about you. These are issues that reside within the person who is feeling them, not within you. While it's natural to internalize others' hostility and wonder if you've done something wrong, it's crucial to remember that you are not responsible for someone else's feelings of inadequacy or dissatisfaction. Your accomplishments and qualities should not be diminished simply because someone else is struggling with their own inner turmoil. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "Don't worry about things outside your control." The envy and jealousy of others are certainly beyond your control, and Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our actions, thoughts, and reactions. Understanding that envy and jealousy often underlie some people's hostility toward us can help us approach these complex interactions with greater clarity. When we know how to handle these negative emotions in a mature manner and refrain from letting them affect us, we develop a crucial skill that aids in maintaining inner peace and staying focused on both personal and professional growth. Misunderstandings and poor communication are another common reason behind negative feelings. The truth is, even the smallest misunderstandings can evolve into seeds of deep and lasting resentment. At the heart of many conflicts is a gap between how we express ourselves and how our words or actions are interpreted by others. A single misplaced word, an unintended tone, or even a facial expression at the wrong moment can leave a wrong impression. These minor communication errors accumulate over time, forming emotional barriers that can lead others to perceive us as distant, disrespectful, or even hostile. Effective communication is essential in any relationship. Without it, conflicts and misunderstandings are bound to occur. Negative emotions often arise when there is a failure to clearly communicate thoughts and feelings, which in turn opens the door to misinterpretations. Moreover, the lack of active listening can further drive people apart. When we fail to genuinely understand another person's perspective, it's easy to make incorrect assumptions or judgments. These misunderstandings can quickly escalate beyond simple disagreements, providing fertile ground for the growth of negative emotions. When people feel misunderstood, they begin to build a version of the relationship based on these communication failures. What started as a minor misunderstanding can grow into hostility and suspicion, distorting the true nature of the relationship and misrepresenting the actual situation. That's why it's so important to recognize the role misunderstandings and poor communication play in triggering negative emotions. By striving for transparent, open, and honest communication in all our interactions, we can prevent unnecessary grievances and maintain relationships built on a solid foundation of mutual understanding and trust. Additionally, giving others the benefit of the doubt and putting ourselves in their shoes allows us to seek clarity when there is uncertainty, helping to avoid conflict and promote healthier, more positive relationships. Another reason for negative feelings toward us arises from differences in fundamental values and beliefs. We live in a diverse world, and each person is shaped by a unique set of values and beliefs, much like distinct puzzle pieces that together form the picture of their lives. When these values clash with those of others, it can spark intense disagreements and even foster resentment. These differences in values aren't limited to political or religious beliefs. They can emerge from everyday aspects of life, such as views on work ethics, lifestyle choices, or even seemingly trivial details in daily interactions. When someone holds their own values as the only valid or superior way of thinking, anyone with a differing belief can quickly become viewed with contempt or disdain. This clash of values can create division, making it difficult to find common ground or understand the perspective of the other person. When we experience these disagreements, it's important to acknowledge that differences in values don't just emerge from political or religious beliefs. They can stem from everyday aspects of life, such as differing opinions on work ethics, lifestyle choices, or even seemingly insignificant details in daily interactions. When someone believes their own values are the only valid or superior ones, anyone who holds a different perspective may quickly be viewed as a threat or a potential enemy that challenges their sense of self. This defensive mindset creates barriers, turning what might be minor disagreements into grounds for disdain. When a person's beliefs are deeply ingrained, any challenge to them can feel like a personal attack. As a result, these situations often escalate into conflicts centered around identity and worldview, with differences evolving from simple disagreements into significant barriers that separate us. The lack of effort to understand others, combined with hasty judgments, creates walls that block empathy and understanding. These walls not only obstruct connection, but also allow resentment to quietly fester, especially when fueled by unaddressed fears and biases. In Stoic philosophy, There is a strong emphasis on recognizing that our beliefs and values are shaped by our individual experiences and perceptions. As Epictetus once said, each of us is a product of our own upbringing and surroundings. Understanding that people hold different values and beliefs due to their unique experiences encourages us to extend tolerance and respect toward these differences. Open dialogue, tolerance, and respect not only help prevent resentment, but also enrich our understanding and experience of the world. Accepting that not everyone shares our perspective and that this is perfectly acceptable is a crucial step toward living harmoniously in a diverse society. Another significant reason why hostility arises is due to the influence of rumors and gossip. Gossip, whether fabricated or exaggerated, can have a devastating impact on your reputation and public image, transforming you into a villain in the eyes of others before you even have a chance to defend yourself. Like a fast-spreading virus, gossip infiltrates every corner of social relationships, poisoning trust and fostering suspicion. What makes gossip particularly dangerous is that once it begins to circulate, it quickly takes on a life of its own, distorting and morphing the truth until a false and negative image of you becomes entrenched, often beyond your ability to stop. Gossip tends to focus on sensitive or negative aspects of your life or personality, with the intent to tear you down and cause deep harm. Even if the rumors have no basis in truth, they still gain traction because people are inclined to believe what they hear, especially when the gossip confirms their existing biases or suspicions. Additionally, the sensational and forbidden nature of rumors makes them even more compelling, causing them to spread rapidly as though they are undeniable truths. The consequences of malicious gossip can be severe. They can lead to social isolation, the loss of meaningful relationships, and even have significant repercussions for your personal life and career. Hatred fueled by rumors is among the most difficult types of hostility to confront, because you're not dealing with reality, but instead a distorted version of yourself that has been altered by others, whether deliberately or unintentionally. It is crucial to recognize the immense power that gossip can have over people's perceptions. While confronting this challenge may be difficult, remaining steadfast in your commitment to the truth, upholding your integrity, and refusing to be influenced by the negativity circulating around you are key. Keep in mind that your authenticity and transparency in every action are the most potent remedies against the venomous effects of rumors. By trusting in your own truth and consistently maintaining your values, you can dispel the falsehoods and gradually restore your image in the eyes of others. Ultimately, the strength of truth and integrity surpasses any lies or malice that life may throw your way. A significant contributor to interpersonal hostility is rooted in personal insecurities and projection, a complex reality that is often overlooked but plays a crucial role in fueling resentment and hatred. When people fail to confront and address their internal insecurities, those feelings can easily morph into envy, resentment, and eventually hatred toward others, especially those who seem to be free of similar fears or vulnerabilities. These insecurities can stem from various sources, such as past traumatic events, perceived failures, or relentless comparisons with others. As the philosopher Seneca once pointed out, when someone feels insecure, they unconsciously project these negative emotions onto others, particularly onto those who seem to possess the very qualities they fear or lack. For example, if someone feels insecure about their career, they may begin to harbor resentment toward a colleague who is thriving and advancing in their field. This projection acts as a psychological defense mechanism, helping a person momentarily cope with their own feelings of inadequacy by redirecting their negativity onto someone else, instead of addressing their own insecurities. Over time, this process can evolve into full-blown hatred, as the person views you as a constant reminder of their own perceived shortcomings and struggles. Another aspect of this dynamic is the sense of being threatened. Your achievements or positive qualities can act as a mirror, reflecting what others feel they lack. Instead of being inspired by your success, they may see it as a challenge to their own self-worth, which leaves them feeling diminished. This sense of inadequacy can spark a hostile reaction toward you. It's important to understand that these insecurities and the hostility they create are not a result of anything you've done. They are simply outward expressions of that person's internal battles. Recognizing this can help you avoid taking their negativity personally and allows you to maintain a healthier perspective in your interactions. Moreover, understanding this dynamic is an essential first step in approaching these emotions with empathy and compassion, which can help dispel unnecessary misunderstandings and foster a more positive and supportive environment. Another deeper reason why someone might develop resentment is a lack of empathy and understanding. In an ideal world, every interaction would be guided by empathy, where people could genuinely understand and connect with each other's experiences. However, reality often presents a different picture. One of the root causes of resentment is the absence of these essential qualities. When someone is unable to put themselves in another person's shoes or grasp what they are going through, an invisible wall starts to form. This barrier can lead to misunderstandings that eventually snowball into hostility. A lack of empathy is not simply the inability to feel the emotions of others. It is a failure to accurately recognize their motivations and responses. This misunderstanding leads to distorted reactions that can easily foster resentment, even in the absence of any real offense. Instead of attempting to understand the intentions behind another person's actions or words, individuals may misinterpret them as slights. Over time, this misinterpretation feeds negative emotions. When empathy is absent, people are more likely to fall into the traps of prejudice and snap judgments, viewing the world in black and white terms. This rigid way of thinking often results in shallow and unfair assessments of others, devoid of the tolerance necessary to appreciate the context. These judgments are frequently based on unfounded assumptions or surface-level impressions, without any genuine effort to understand the person or situation. As a result, they create fertile ground for resentment, which is rooted in ignorance and misunderstanding. This lack of empathy is often linked to self-centeredness. Narcissistic individuals, for example, are so consumed with their own concerns that they struggle to acknowledge or appreciate the experiences and emotions of others. Their self-absorption breeds indifference, causing them to disregard the successes or struggles of others with contempt or apathy. This attitude can easily be mistaken for hostility or even hatred, as those on the receiving end feel dismissed or belittled. It is important to recognize that in many cases, the resentment someone holds toward you is more a reflection of their own emotional limitations and struggles rather than any action you've taken. Understanding this can help you approach these situations with a more balanced perspective, enabling you to build bridges of understanding where possible or protect yourself from the emotional toll of others' negativity. This awareness allows you to stay grounded in compassion and manage these interactions with resilience and empathy. Competition or rivalry often gives rise to negative emotions, particularly when it becomes an unrelenting source of rivalry and comparison. Healthy competition can provide motivation for personal growth, but when it exceeds the bounds of healthy rivalry, it can transform into an unhealthy obsession, a burning resentment that seeks to see the other person fail or be brought down. Competition and rivalry are common in all areas of life, from the workplace to social circles and even within families. In moderation, they can inspire individuals to push themselves further, but when driven by insecurity, jealousy, or unresolved past grievances, this competition shifts from a source of motivation to an all-consuming fire. Instead of focusing on personal success, one becomes fixated on seeing others stumble. This shift occurs when someone feels perpetually overshadowed or undervalued by another person. Rather than using these feelings as motivation to surpass their own limits, they become fixated on diminishing or undermining the success of the other person. This sentiment intensifies when a person perceives the achievements or recognition of another as undeserved, or worse, as something that should have been theirs. As Marcus Aurelius once observed, unchecked rivalry can lead people into destructive behaviors such as defamation, sabotage, or personal attacks. When the desire to win at any cost overtakes a person's sense of ethics and morality, it leads to actions that are intended to harm others. These actions not only hurt the individual targeted, but also erode the character and integrity of those who engage in them. Recognizing competition and rivalry as potential sources of hatred is key to understanding the dynamics of these relationships. By identifying these emotions, whether in ourselves or others, we can work towards transforming competition into collaboration, or at the very least, learning how to compete in a healthy and respectful way. It's important to remember that one person's success does not diminish your own. There is plenty of room for everyone to shine, and adopting this mindset is a powerful way to combat the hatred that often arises from unchecked rivalry and competition. Social expectations can also be a significant source of negative feelings, especially when individuals feel that you are not conforming to the norms or standards they hold dear. Imagine living in a community where everyone is expected to adhere to certain cultural traditions or values, and you choose to take a different path. Perhaps you pursue an unconventional career or enter a relationship that doesn't fit traditional standards. For some, your choices may come as a shock or even cause discomfort or resentment as they challenge deeply held beliefs and values. This type of resentment often doesn't arise from you directly, but from the invisible pressures of societal expectation and a fear of the unfamiliar. Your decisions act as a mirror that forces others to confront contradictions within their own thinking, highlighting the rigidity of their beliefs. It's crucial to remember that this is your life. Your choices, big or small, are part of your unique journey towards personal happiness and fulfillment. You are not obligated to live according to the expectations of others, regardless of how strongly they object. Living authentically and following your own values are essential for your well-being and happiness. By embracing who you truly are and standing firm against social expectations, you can find the freedom to live a full and meaningful life. Don't let the judgments or expectations of others dictate your path. Instead, embrace your authenticity and have the courage to live a life that is truly yours. The lack of recognition is another deeply rooted source of resentment and negativity in human relationships. Everyone wants their efforts, successes, and contributions to be acknowledged, but when these contributions are forgotten or undervalued, bitterness can slowly accumulate and eventually turn into hatred. This is especially true in competitive environments, such as workplaces, family settings, or social circles, where the desire for recognition is high. As the philosopher Epictetus once stated, when someone feels that their achievements are underappreciated, it can easily become the seed of resentment towards those who seem to receive more attention. However, it's important to understand that recognition is subjective and varies from person to person. Some individuals require more validation and appreciation than others. To prevent the build-up of unnecessary negative feelings and to foster healthier, more positive relationships, it's essential to communicate openly and offer recognition at the right time. Navigating these complex emotional dynamics requires the ability to set boundaries with those who are caught up in their own issues and insecurities. Those who bring negativity and disturb your peace should be met with clear limits. Setting boundaries is not a sign of weakness, but rather a powerful act of self-preservation. Often the animosity directed at you has little to do with who you are and more to do with the person's internal struggles. Whether it stems from jealousy, misunderstanding, value conflicts, rumors, personal insecurity, lack of empathy, or competition. These negative emotions reveal more about the person who harbors them than about you. Remember, you are not responsible for the negative feelings of others, nor are you obligated to please everyone. By understanding these factors, you can develop a balanced perspective on relationships and avoid letting negativity impact your self-worth or worldview. Instead, focus on your own qualities and strengths and work on building positive, healthy relationships for yourself. In conclusion, I would like to offer a message of encouragement. Each of us is unique, with our own qualities, flaws, and individual paths to follow. The reasons why someone might dislike you are ultimately reflections of the inner battles they are fighting within themselves. So, continue your journey with integrity, kindness, and authenticity. Cherish those who genuinely respect and appreciate you for who you are, and by doing so, you will create a healthier and happier environment for yourself and those around you. I would love to hear about your personal journey and the triumphs you've experienced. Please hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below to share your story, your successes, and even the challenges you've overcome. If you're unsure about what to comment, simply write peacefulness to show that you've completed this session. Your engagement helps this community grow towards wisdom and the art of turning every challenge into an opportunity. I'll leave 2 more videos here for you to continue learning and growing on your personal development journey. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.